Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
Before we begin, let me know where you're tuning in from down in the comments. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next tale. Abby, my wife, has two close friends, Becca and Claire. They and their husbands call each other A, B, and C. Abby and I are both 29 years old and have been married for 5 years. We don't have any kids yet. Becca is 28. I know this because we celebrated her birthday last week. She and her husband Bob have 2 kids. I attended Claire's birthday party months ago, but I can't remember her exact age. She and her husband are also around our age. Claire has 1 daughter. Since the wives are good friends, the husbands are expected to join them for dinners, barbecues, and special events like birthdays twice a month. The 3 of us husbands get along well enough. We are friendly when we meet, but we don't share many interests besides our wives. We all live close to each other in Central Florida. I work as an assistant manager at a local hotel chain, and Abby works as an appointment scheduler at her father's plumbing business. Our wives sometimes have girls' nights out, and twice a year they enjoy a weekend at a nice resort in Miami Beach. Because I work at the hotel, I can help save on the rooms, so Abby usually books their stay. They often get a room with 2 double beds. Their last girls' weekend was in early June, and their next trip was planned for November. However, Abby told me their plans had changed. Becca is expecting a baby and won't be able to go in November. We decided to go to Miami Beach the first week of August instead, so we can help get B and C's kids ready for school. Is that okay? That's fine with me, I replied. I didn't mind their weekends away. I liked having some time to myself. I could eat what I wanted and watch sports without interruptions. Abby made the final arrangements, and she and her friends left on a Friday, planning to return Sunday afternoon. That Friday night, I ordered pizza, enjoyed some drinks, and watched a full baseball game. On Saturday, I went to the gym and had lunch at a fast food place. It was a great time. As dinner time got closer, I thought about making grilled steak and fries, but I realized I was out of beer and didn't have the ingredients I needed. So, I decided to go to the grocery store. While I was looking at the steaks, I ran into Bob, Becca's husband. He said to me, "Is Abby feeling better? She had a summer cold, right?" I was a bit confused, but answered, "Abby is doing okay, thanks for asking." "That's great. So you can join us for dinner tonight. It would have been the first get-together in years without you two. Let me tell B that you're coming," he said, taking out his phone. I quickly said, "No. Abby is better, but still has a bit of a cough. We don't want to spread anything, so we'll stay in. It's probably for the best." Bob looked sad about it. "That's too bad. You could come alone. C and J, B, and I would be happy if you came." "I think I might be getting sick too, so I should stay home and take care of Abby. But thanks for inviting me, and congratulations on Becca's pregnancy," I said. Bob looked puzzled. "Not that I know of. We're sticking with 2 kids. Becca's not expecting." I felt bad for misunderstanding something Abby said. We said goodbye, and I forgot all about the steaks and fries, just buying some beer before going home. I last heard from Abby around 5 p.m. the day before, which is usually when she calls during their trips. She said, "Everything's great. We're having fun. The weather is nice. We were at the beach for just a few hours, and Becca is already a bit sunburned." "What's for dinner?" I asked. "Salad," she replied. We ended the call, and I took the last slice of pizza from the box. I guess she'd call back around dinner time. I was curious about who "we" meant, especially since it didn't seem to include her friends, Becca and Claire. I turned on my laptop and logged into the hotel's system to check if Abby had checked in. It was about 2 p.m. then. I decided to call the resort where Abby was staying. "Can I speak to the manager, please?" I said, giving my name. A familiar voice answered, "This is Hugh Clark. How can I help you?" "I'm Mark Joyner, the assistant manager in L. We've met a few times." "Of course. What do you need today?" "I need a favor. My wife Abby is in room 324 until Sunday morning." Hugh's keyboard clicked as he found her details. "Yes, she checked in. It looks like meals have been charged to the room." He listed the charges, which included 2 dinners, 2 desserts, a bottle of wine, breakfast, and lunch. It appeared they were all for 2 people. "Do you want to see the bills?" he asked. "No, that's okay. I can check that later." I hadn't thought to check the room charges when I looked up Abby's check-in. I was glad Hugh was on top of things. The favor is big and I'll owe you. I need to look at the security footage from the hallway outside of room 324, from the time she checked in until you can get it to me. There was silence. I knew it was a big request, but a hallway is a public space. It's usually monitored. Plus, Hugh might need my help someday, too. Finally, he said, "That's a big favor. I wish you didn't have to ask. I'll find a way to do this that works for both of us. Give me a couple of hours and I'll call you back." I poured myself a beer and logged back into the hotel system to check the breakfast and lunch charges on Abby's room. 2 breakfasts, 2 coffees, 2 orange juices. Lunch was also for 2 and included 3 beers. Abby doesn't drink beer. I thought it might be smart to check our bank transactions. Looking back at our statements from when Abby and her friends went to Miami Beach in June, nothing seemed off except that Abby cashed a check for $500 at a bank there that Saturday. This morning, she cashed another check for $1,000 at the same bank. I checked our cell phone records since June and saw many calls to a number that had a Miami Beach area code. It wasn't the resort's number. A reverse search didn't show anything useful. I was unsure what that meant. I then searched our company system to see if the number had ever been used for a room booking. No results. I decided not to call the number yet. I didn't want to talk to the person. I suspected it was a man. If so, I preferred to speak to him in person. I'd ask Abby about him when she returned. As I went through our credit card statements from June, I didn't find anything unusual. Just as I prepared to look for more charges, Hugh called back. "I don't know you. We've never talked. Are you logged in?" "One moment. I'm in now. I'm giving you an internal link. It has the security footage from Abby's hallway from noon yesterday until about an hour ago. There's also a live feed from her hallway until checkout on Sunday. You can't download anything, but you can watch it. Fast forward works on the recordings. This site will disappear at 11 a.m. Sunday. Write down this address, your username, and password. Once we hang up, we didn't speak. Got a pen? I'm ready." Hugh provided the information and I wrote it down. He stayed on the line until I confirmed I was logged in. "Thanks, Hugh. I appreciate it." "For what? I don't know you. We haven't spoken since last year's conference. I wish you well. I got divorced 2 years ago because my wife fell in love with someone else. Take care." I started browsing the live feed on the left side of the screen, with recorded footage on the right, starting from yesterday at noon. Yesterday, around 1:20 p.m., my wife walked alone down the hallway to a room. Later, at about 4:35 p.m. on today's live feed, a man ran down the hallway laughing and looking back over his shoulder. He was carrying something, maybe clothes, and his face was clear. He seemed to be in his early 30s and wore casual clothes. A moment later, a woman came into view behind him trying to catch up. She had a scarf around her waist, but it covered little. It was Abby. The man stopped at room 324 and held up the clothing, teasing her. After a few playful attempts to take it back, he handed her the room key. As she tried to open the door, he leaned close, clearly enjoying the moment. They both suddenly looked towards the elevator. She opened the door and they quickly went inside, closing it behind them. In the recorded video from yesterday, a little after 5 p.m., shortly after Abby called me, the same man arrived at her room. He was in a suit and tie, carrying a small suitcase and a suit bag. Abby opened the door and greeted him warmly. They both appeared to be heading to a formal event. After they entered the room together, I took out my phone. I wanted a good picture of him, just in case Abby didn't have one. About 20 minutes later, they came back out and walked toward the elevator. Abby was holding his arm, and they both looked happy. I managed to take 6 pictures of the man before they were out of sight, with a few shots clearly showing his face. I didn't need to see anything else. Whether he stayed or not didn't matter to me anymore. Whatever they had together, I felt nothing. This part of my life was over. In a few days, she would be out of it for good. I paused the recorded footage. The live feed wouldn't show anything more until they returned. It was a good time to get ready. I drove to Walmart and bought 2 large suitcases. Back home, I went upstairs and packed all of Abby's clothes, setting her jewelry aside, most of which were gifts from me. I threw away the nightgown she usually kept in the bathroom. The suitcases were placed by the front door, waiting for her return. Later, I checked the video again. Around 11 p.m., Abby and the man appeared again, walking down the hallway together, clearly enjoying their time together before going into the room. I kept the feed on until midnight, but the man did not leave. The next morning, I woke up early and had breakfast while checking the feed once more. Around 8 a.m., Abby and the man left the room, both dressed for the pool. She was wearing a swimsuit that didn't leave much to the imagination. If she had worn something like that with me at a public beach, we would have talked about it seriously. But she wasn't with me. They returned to the room shortly before 10 a.m. At that point, I had seen enough. I headed to the gym, then grabbed lunch from a local BBQ place while watching the game, waiting for Abby to come home. Around 2:30, I heard her car in the driveway and then the sound of a key turning in the lock. I was in the living room, sitting in my recliner. Abby walked in with a cheerful, "Hi, honey," glanced at the suitcases and asked, "What's this?" "Sit down," I said, pointing to the couch. She looked at me and, seeing my expression, took a seat. "Give me your purse." Her smile disappeared. "What's happening?" "Give me your purse." "You're making me scared," she said, but handed it over. I took out her wallet and checkbook, placing her credit and debit cards on the table beside me. I emptied the rest of her purse onto the floor. Nothing else caught my attention. "Give me your phone." Abby turned pale. "Why do you want my phone? You're not going to look through it, right? That's not like you. I don't look through yours. Phones are private." "I don't need to check your phone. I want it because you won't need it anymore." I held out my hand. Abby hesitated. "Give me the phone." She handed it over. I placed it with the cards. "The suitcases have your clothes. You're leaving tonight. I'm filing for divorce. I know what happened this weekend. I know everything." Abby started to speak, but I stopped her. "Don't. I don't want to hear excuses." She began to cry and tried to explain, but I interrupted. "Enough." I looked at her for a long moment. "You have one chance to be honest with me. If you lie, you'll leave with just your clothes. No cards, no phone, no help. I don't want apologies, just the truth. I'm going to ask questions. Just answer those. Nothing else." She looked terrified. "Good. What's his name?" She opened her mouth. "It's not what you think." I cut her off. "Just answer the questions. No stories." "What's his name?" "Roger Adams." "Is this his phone number?" I showed her the number I found while looking at phone records. She said, "I think so. If I can check my phone, I'll know for sure." I handed her the phone. She looked at her contacts and then nodded. "Leave the phone open. Do you have any pictures of him? Any selfies?" She nodded again. "Let me see." She tapped the screen and handed it back to me. There was a clear image of him with his arm around Abby. I returned the phone and said, "Send me that picture." She did. "How much money have you given him?" She hesitated. I could see she was about to avoid the question. "If you're not honest, you'll have to go." She admitted, $1,500, $500 in June, and another $1,000 yesterday. "Sit down and be quiet." I pulled up a number on my phone and tapped it. The call began to ring. Abby looked worried. "You're not calling Roger, are you?" I didn't answer. When the line connected, I said, "Lieutenant Markey, please. This is Mark Joyner. Markey is our hotel's contact with local law enforcement. We've helped him numerous times, so he's always willing to assist." The voice on the other end said, "He's not available. Would you like to leave a message or talk to the officer on duty?" "I'll call his cell. Thanks." I ended the call and dialed Markey directly. He picked up quickly. "Hey, Mark. Thanks again for the Hawaii trip. Everything was perfect, especially the room extras." "I'm glad it all worked out. What's going on?" "I need info on someone named Roger Adams. I have his phone number and a photo. I think he's operating out of the Miami area." Abby started to protest. "He's not a—" I raised my hand. I continued, "Can you look him up?" "Sure. Send me the number and the photo. Give me an hour or so. I'll need to reach someone at the department, but we'll take care of it." I sent the details. Markey asked, "Who's the woman in the photo with him?" "My wife." "Got it. I'll get back to you soon." We ended the call. Abby quietly said, "He's not a con artist." I said, "Don't speak unless I ask a question." We sat in silence until Markey called back 40 minutes later. I answered and put him on speaker. "Sorry for the delay. I had to check in with Miami PD. I'll send you the summary by email, but here's what I found. His real name is Roger Addison. He and his wife Cheryl have been running scams in the Miami area. They used to work together, targeting hotel guests. Cheryl would talk to a man at a bar, get invited to his room, and then Roger would show up, pretending to be her angry husband. This routine usually ended with the guest giving up their valuables. Most of the time, the guests didn't report it because they felt embarrassed. This went on for many years. Now they operate alone but use the same basic method. Roger meets women at nice hotel bars, usually those who look wealthy and are by themselves. He tells them sad stories about his late wife, bills he needs to pay, and worries about losing his home. He starts small by borrowing money, and then works his way into a relationship. Cheryl does something similar with men. Sometimes, if it pays off well, she keeps seeing them. They both have been arrested before, but it's difficult to prove anything. Victims are often too shy to report it because they fear the personal and social consequences. The only thing I can say for your wife is that he is very good at what he does. I'm going to send you the summary of their past and Cheryl's picture. I just need you to confirm that you think you saw Roger Addison at your hotel and that he was with his wife before I send you their files. Absolutely. I'm sure I saw him at the hotel this morning. I didn't see his wife, but I believe he was there with her. Okay? We're a bit far from Miami, but they might be spreading out. I'll email you the files now. If you see them in your bar, call me right away. I thanked him and ended the call. He sent me their files. Cheryl is quite pretty. They make an attractive couple. He seems friendly and likely appears harmless to people. She must catch the eye of many who see her. I looked at Abby. She was sitting on the couch, looking upset. I said, "Take a moment for yourself," and went to get a drink. When I returned, she said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know." I replied, "Focus on my questions. I'm not interested in anything else right now. Please have a shower, freshen up, and stay in the guest bedroom until I want to talk to you again." How did you find out? You don't get to ask questions. Please stay in the bedroom until I call you. Should I take the bags upstairs? She asked, pointing to the 2 large suitcases. No, they stay here. You might still be leaving tonight. I haven't decided. Abby seemed unsure and wanted to explain, so I raised my voice. Please go. She picked up the suitcase she had taken to Miami Beach and went upstairs. After a few minutes, I heard the sound of the shower. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes, trying to make sense of everything. It felt surreal. What to do now? Not about Abby. I was sure I wanted a divorce. But what to do about Roger? I called my brother, who lives about 20 minutes away. Hey, I'm coming by to pick up something I left. Can you get it ready for me? What's up? Why do you need it? Just for some practice. I'm very busy this week and thought I'd go to the range soon. I want to keep my skills sharp. I've always known about firearms and have owned them for years. When Abby and I married, she was worried about them, so I stored them at my brother's place. I took the SIM card out of my phone and put it in my pocket, hiding my checkbook and credit cards in my office. Abby had been using her phone to contact Roger, so I doubted she had another device. I took the SIM card in case she tried to contact him again. I left to pick up my things. Feeling hungry, I ordered takeout from a Chinese restaurant I like. After getting my items, I picked up the food and returned home. I called for Abby to come down. She appeared wearing one of my old robes. She leaned against the kitchen counter and said, I was going to make a salad for us. You've probably been eating poorly all weekend, so I thought you might like something healthy. You got takeout. You didn't get any for me? Make yourself a salad. You've been busy all weekend. You're the one who needs something good for you. She looked down, a little sorry, but made herself a small salad. Sitting at the kitchen table, I started eating my takeout. I'm going to ask you some more questions. Just remember, if I think you're not being honest, this conversation will end. Do you understand? Yes, I'll tell the truth. How did you meet this guy? It was during our trip in June. I was at the hotel bar, and he asked if the seat next to me was free. The bar was really crowded, so he needed a place to sit. He looked a bit sad and wanted to talk. He asked if I was staying at the hotel and where I was from. He wanted to know if my husband was there too, and how often I went on girls' weekends. He said he found me interesting and wanted to know me better. He didn't share much about himself. I felt lonely, so we chatted. Where were Becca and Claire? They had left by then. Where did they go? Abby paused, looking down. I added, "Are you really going to risk your marriage over them?" "Becca has a boyfriend she spends these weekends with. She leaves as soon as we get off the plane and we don't see her again until we fly home. Claire doesn't have a boyfriend, so she meets people when we go out." You're not going to believe me, but Roger was the first time I stepped out. There was something about him, his sadness and how I could make him happy, that I found appealing. So where was Claire? Out with friends? No, Claire met a guy from her work who lives near Miami. She had a date with him. She changed in our room and left to meet him at a restaurant. I didn't see her again until we were ready to check out on Sunday, and she was still in the same outfit from her date. How long has Becca been with this boyfriend? For years. They have 2 kids. Are they Bob's? Abby looked down and whispered, "She's pretty sure the older boy is Bob's. She thinks the younger girl might not be." "What about Claire's child?" "She won't discuss it, but I wouldn't bet on it, just because she refuses to talk about it." "Do you know these guys' names?" "Yes. Becca talks about him a lot, Sydney or Sid. She might leave Bob for him, but he doesn't have money. Bob gives her the life she wants, and her boyfriend provides the fun. Claire mentioned her guy's name once on the plane back in June. I only remember it because it's the same as yours, Mark." I took out the SIM card, put it back in Abby's phone, and turned it on. "Call Bob and tell him about Sid. Share all the details like you just told me. He needs to know about those kids." Abby looked at me in shock. "I can't tell Bob about Sid. It could ruin their marriage." "I can't do that to Becca. Call Bob now. It's important that Bob knows the truth." Abby crossed her arms and said, "I don't have his cell number." "I do. Give me your phone." Abby got up, handed me her phone, and started to sit back down. "Stay right there. You're going to tell Bob everything." I entered his number into Abby's phone just as his name and number appeared on her screen. I tapped his number, put the phone on speaker, and handed it back to her. Bob answered, "Hi, A. Are you feeling better? If you need B, she's right here." "No, I need to talk to you." "Okay, what can I do for you?" He sounded confused. "When we go on girls' weekends, Becca spends the whole time with her boyfriend who lives near Miami. His name is Sid. He visits her every few weeks. This has been happening for years. There's a chance that your daughter might be his, not yours. It could also be true for your son. You should think about getting tests to find out for sure." There was a long pause from Bob. Finally, he asked, "Why are you telling me this?" "Mark just found out and made me promise to tell you." "How long? You said years?" "At least 6 years. Maybe more. Long enough that both your children could possibly belong to him. I don't know any more details, and I'm sorry to bring this up, but you should talk to Becca. You can learn everything from her phone. I need to go now. Sorry. Bye." She ended the call. Abby was crying. She gave me back the phone and turned to sit down. I told her to stay where she was. "You still have to call Jay. Let me find his number for you." I did, dialed it, put the phone on speaker, and handed it to Abby. Jay answered, "Hi, A. I'm sorry you missed dinner last night. Are you feeling better? Why are you calling? Is something wrong with C's phone?" "I need to talk to you. Whenever we go on girls' weekends, Claire meets someone and spends her time with him. Last June, she spent the whole weekend with a guy named Mark who lives in Miami. Not my Mark, someone through work. I'm telling you this because my Mark just found out and insisted I inform you. I think you should talk to Claire. She has all the details. There's also a chance that Sissy might not be your daughter. You should get a paternity test. I'm really sorry, but that's all I can say. I have to go now. Bye." Abby, now very upset, handed me her phone and went back to the couch, curling up and looking distressed. I watched her for a bit before asking, "Did Becca and Claire know you were going to Miami?" Abby nodded. "And you made up an excuse that you were too sick to attend the dinner party to avoid telling their husbands?" She nodded again. "You told me you were going in August because Becca was pregnant. What would you have said if she didn't show signs of being pregnant or if there was no baby?" "I would have said she had a miscarriage and that both she and Bob were so upset they couldn't discuss it. You wouldn't have asked Bob about the baby if I told you not to. You wouldn't bring it up, and by then you would have forgotten about our weekend." "What did Becca and Claire think about your trip?" Abby sighed and replied, "They were very supportive, happy for me. Every time we went to Miami Beach, they met guys while I stayed back at the hotel. They couldn't understand why I didn't want to meet other guys. They were excited that I finally met someone. Abby covered her face with her hands, tears falling. Oh God, what did I do? Okay, tell me about this guy. What did he say to you? That's not how it started. At first I thought I was just helping him. Everything else just happened. I mentioned him sitting next to me at a bar. He started asking about me. That's all he wanted to discuss me. After a while it felt awkward, so I asked him questions back. Did he visit this bar often? What was his job? He didn't wear a wedding ring, so I asked if he was married. He knew I was, and I told him that right away. He said he was waiting for someone who owed him money. He seemed desperate, but the person never arrived. He couldn't reach him on the phone, but thought he'd wait a bit longer. He needed a drink, so he decided to have one at the bar. I asked him why he needed money so much. He said his wife had just passed away after being ill for a long time. He had taken care of her at home and had to give up a good job to do that. He missed her very much, and tears were in his eyes. I wanted to comfort him. He said the medical expenses were growing, and his savings were finished. He could not return to work because he had to leave so suddenly to care for her, but he was looking for new job chances. He had a mortgage payment coming up soon, and if he did not pay it, he would lose his home. The person he was supposed to meet owed him $500, which would help him hold off losing his house for a while. Tears rolled down his cheeks as he shared that he had already borrowed more from his brother than he could pay back. He felt sad and worried about being without a home. He put his head in his hands, clearly upset. I felt terrible for him. He was a nice person who was having a hard time because of things he could not control. I asked if I could buy him dinner, saying that I was alone and didn't enjoy eating by myself. During dinner, I offered to lend him the $500. He paused and said he no longer had a bank account. He thought it would be too much to ask me to give him the money outright. He would figure out another way. I could see he was close to crying again, so I held his hand and told him that everything would be all right. I would make sure of it. I suggested we meet for dinner again the next night. He shook his head, but I said it was a loan to a friend. He seemed surprised and thankful, calling me a wonderful person. After dinner, we left the restaurant, and he asked if I wanted to walk around, maybe by the beach. It was a beautiful night, and I had no other plans. I agreed. We walked on the beach and talked for hours. He shared stories about his wife, and I talked about my life. When it was time to go back to the hotel, we exchanged phone numbers. He asked if he could give me a hug, and I thought it was sweet. We hugged warmly for a long time. After the hug, he gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, and we set a time for dinner the next night. I went up to my room and went to sleep. I found myself thinking about him. Abby looked down, unable to meet my eyes. I asked, "So let me get this straight. You're in a bar at a fancy hotel that charges more for drinks than other places. This is where he meets his friend? He has money problems but is ordering drinks? Did you really believe that story?" I wasn't thinking of that. He seemed nice and was in a tough spot, and I thought I could help. You weren't thinking clearly because you were focused on helping him. Abby had nothing to say, so I encouraged her. What happened next? I got the money from the bank and spent the day at the beach. He was in the lobby at 6:30 when we were supposed to meet for dinner. I gave him the $500. I thought he might cry again. He wanted another hug, so we embraced. We went to eat, and afterwards we walked and talked some more. He held my hand, and it felt natural to leave it there. Around midnight, we were back at the hotel. He asked if we could share a special moment, and I expected something simple, so I agreed. To my surprise, it was a deeper expression of care. He asked about my flight home, and when I told him it was around 12:30 p.m. the next day, he felt sad about our little time together. He said he felt a strong connection and told me I reminded him of his wife, someone beautiful and kind. He didn't want our evening to end, so I invited him to my room for a drink to keep talking. We ended up spending the night together. When I got home, we started talking on the phone often. He told me he missed me, saying his days were dull without me, but bright when we were together. He wanted to see me again and encouraged me to come back to Miami. I knew it was a risky choice, but we agreed to meet that weekend. When I took him to dinner on Friday, he looked sad. After a bit of talking, he told me he needed to pay a hospital bill to avoid losing his home. I decided to help him and gave him $1,000 the next morning. She looked at me, tears rolling down her face. "I know this sounds awful," she said, I thought I was being helpful. I didn't know he was tricking me. I care about you, and I'll do anything to fix this. More tears fell. Just tell me what to do therapy if needed. I will stop talking to everyone else. Just guide me, please. Does your friend know what you do for work? I asked. He's not my friend. You are the only one I care about. She cried again. I told him I worked for my father but didn't give details. I said my father has a plumbing company, but he seemed more interested in us. Are you really dedicated to making things better? Abby nodded quickly. There will be steps you need to take, but we will talk about them later. For now, give me your phone and credit cards. I want to make sure you focus on what's important. I'm really sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a mistake that won't happen again. I just want you to forgive me. Don't call me that. You lost that right. Go to your room and take some time to think. She hesitated but went upstairs. Her phone buzzed with a message. I turned it off and took out the SIM card. I had what I wanted from her, a promise to do all she could to fix our marriage. The next morning, I called for her to come downstairs. When she came down still in my robe, she asked, "Can I have some coffee?" Abby had returned the day before, saying she was with her friends. In reality, she was with someone else. I wanted to see if she was serious about her promise. In response to her coffee request, I said, "You can have coffee, but first I want you to call your father and tell him you won't be going to work today. Your family should know the truth." She made the call and put it on speaker. "Daddy, I made a big mistake this past weekend. I was involved with someone, and Mark knows. I need to stay home to focus on my marriage." "Who is this person? Why would you do that?" "I can't explain it. I was fooled. I care about Mark. This was a big mistake for me. I need to stay home to make things right." "How is Mark? I'm sure he's upset. Did he hurt you?" "Mark is a great person. He would never hurt me. He's justly upset, and I'm sorry for my actions. I have to make this right and will do whatever it takes. Take all the time you need. Focus on your marriage and don't worry about work. Tell Mark if he needs anything to call me. Your family supports him." They hung up. Abby looked at me, waiting for her next task when her mother called. "What happened?" Abby started crying. "I met a guy in Miami last June. He told me a sad story that I believed. One thing led to another, and I made a mistake. I can't explain. It just happened. I didn't mean to hurt Mark, but I did. Mark knows, and I feel embarrassed and ashamed. Mark means everything to me, and I'll do anything to fix this and save our marriage." "You're unbelievable. Mark is the best thing that ever happened to you, and you made such a choice. How long has this been going on?" "I met him in June and spent this past weekend with him. Those are the only times I've seen him. I'll do everything I can to save my marriage. I told Mark I'll do whatever he asks. I really hope I can show him that I made a mistake and that I care about him deeply. Thankfully, we are still in touch. He's asking questions, trying to make sense of things. I need to give him space so we can keep talking." Abby's mother said, "Tell Mark we still love him. I've never felt this disappointed in you." Then, she ended the call. Abby broke down, crying hard. I waited for her to calm down. She looked at me with hope. I told her, "Make us some breakfast." She cooked, and we sat across from each other in silence. Abby kept glancing at me, waiting for me to speak, trying to read my mind. Finally, I asked, "If you wanted to see him again this weekend, how would you plan it?" "He's not my boyfriend. Stop saying that." She was sulking. "He knows I can't see him again so soon. He understands I'm married." I replied, "We need a story that he'll believe so you can meet him again this week." I thought for a moment, "Does he know you help your dad with scheduling?" Abby nodded. "Tell him you're learning about new scheduling software. That way, you'll have a reason to be away again. Since it's a story to trick me, if he's not free when you need him, find out when he can meet you. You'll change the days in the story. You need to book a hotel room, but it can't be any place linked to my job. Just tell him it's a made-up story for me, so he won't care about the details." After breakfast, I got up to grab my laptop, leaving the dirty dishes for Abby to clean. Normally, I would have done them myself. As I walked away, someone knocked loudly at the door and rang the bell. I opened it to find Abby's friend Becca, looking upset. "Why did you tell Bob about my secret? He's angry and threatening to leave me. Where's Abby? I need to talk to her." She can't talk to you right now. Are you protecting her? You just don't understand. We say we're going on a girls' weekend because we want our time together. We don't need to travel far for that. We can enjoy places near us too. Why can't we just hang out here with our husbands? Did you explain to your husband what you do during those weekends? I asked. It doesn't matter now. Because of you, he wants to check things, and he'll find out what's been happening. I frowned, realizing how messy everything had become. I always thought you all knew, but chose to ignore our secrets. You had Abby tell Bob about my situation, thinking you were helping him. Now he's upset, and it's affected all of us. He'll see that he's lost his family and his life as he knew it, and eventually, he might rethink everything. He'll likely think about giving it another try, even if he knows things might not change completely. We'll return to how things were. I just need to choose my friends more carefully. No snitches, no rats. I jumped in. Maybe Bob will see that he's better off without you and move on. Becca didn't like that, so she went on. Abby told Bob about me, so let me tell you about Abby. You think she's innocent? When we have our girls' weekends, I spend time with my boyfriend, but Abby and Claire go out to see guys, and they always meet new people. Abby holds the record for meeting the most guys in one weekend, one on Friday night, another on Saturday night, and one more at the beach on Saturday afternoon. Becca exclaimed, "Isn't that right, Abby? It's about numbers, not quality." Abby in the living room replied quietly, "That's not true." Then she met Roger. Last June during our girls' weekend, Claire had a date, so Abby was alone. Not wanting to go to a club by herself, she went to the hotel bar. 10 minutes later, she met this guy, Roger. Abby really liked him. Unlike the others, she couldn't stop talking about him. She said he's her soulmate. You didn't know about Roger? They've been together for months. Becca was done with me and started calling out, "Abby, come here, I want to talk to you." I said, "I'm closing the door. My doorbell camera is recording. If you're still here in 30 seconds, I'll call for help." I closed the door. She stood there for a bit, but eventually walked away. Abby looked upset again. I asked, "Are we going to hear from Claire too?" Abby didn't answer and just sat back on the couch. I got my laptop and searched for hotels in Miami. I found a great place and asked Abby, "What do you do when you want to talk to him? Call or text?" "I wish you'd stop saying that. I don't want to be with him anymore. If I have to, I'll call him with the story I'm supposed to tell you and see if he's free. If he is, I'll tell him I'll make plans and email him the details. That's what we did last time." "Okay. Tell him it won't be at the resort or any of my hotels. Say your dad is paying for everything and it's all taken care of. You don't want me looking up details and finding out you paid for the room, so pick another hotel chain. If he asks, tell Roger you have your own card, so I won't see those charges. Say you'll probably get to Miami around 1 or 2 p.m. Thursday." "What are you planning to do?" "I told you not to ask questions. Are you ready to talk without sounding upset? You should sound happy about this." Abby took a breath and went back to the living room. "Are you ready?" She nodded and tried to smile. I said, "You have to sound convincing. Just pretend I'm not here. You'll have to say things you don't want me to hear. That's okay. You won't hurt my feelings. I just want you to be the person he expects." Abby sighed. "I'm only doing this because you want me to. You're already upset with me. I'll do as you ask, but remember, it's all a lie. I love you, not him." I pointed to the phone. She dialed and put it on speaker. Roger answered. "Hi, sweetheart. I was just thinking about you. I was going to call, but didn't want to interrupt your work. It's only been a day, but I miss you a lot. You're my sunshine." Abby replied, "Hi, love. You're my sunshine, too. I miss you. I'm at home and Mark is out helping his dad so we can chat. I want to see you and don't want to wait another month or even another week. I have a story to tell Mark so I can come see you again this week if you're free. Please say you're available." "Wait, are you on speaker?" "Who else is listening?" "No one. I'm in the living room folding laundry. I'm tired, so I took the day off. I have a doctor's appointment this morning anyway. There's no one here, just you and me. I need to finish the laundry and get dressed. The appointment is in about an hour. Can you hear me okay on the speaker?" Abby's answer seemed to calm him. "Why are you going to see a doctor? Are you all right?" "Just a yearly checkup. I think I can find a way to see you again this week. I'm going to tell Mark that I have to go for training on new software for appointment scheduling. My father is covering the training costs, but the software company is handling all the details. I hope it's fine that we won't be at the resort or Miami Beach. Honey, as long as I can spend time with you, I don't mind where it is. I miss you a lot. When are you planning to come? Thursday and Friday this week. I'll find a place to stay in Miami. Thursday and Friday work for me. I can't wait to see you. You'll email me all the details, right? Yes, I'll share everything. It's just a story I'll tell Mark. He won't be suspicious. What if he asks your father about it? They usually only talk at family events, mostly about sports, not about me or my job. If the software company is paying for everything, won't Mark see the charges on your credit card? Aren't those planned ahead of time? This seems risky. I don't want to take the chance of not being able to see you again if he finds out. I got my own credit card recently. I received it last week. It's paperless billing. He won't see anything. Abby had been looking at me but looked away when she mentioned the credit card. She went on, "You might remember the idea to do that. If he asks why I didn't mention the training before, I'll just say I told him weeks ago. He'll believe me and think he wasn't paying attention. So, you took my advice and got your own credit card. Great. I don't want anything to come between us. How are you doing with money? I don't want to talk about money. Talking to you makes me happy, and my money issues bring me down." I motioned for Abby to end the call. I went to the door and rang the doorbell. Abby said, "Someone's at the door. Let me arrange a place and tickets, and I'll email you the information. I'll see you Thursday, sweetheart. I miss you." I miss you too. I can't wait for Thursday. Bye. They hung up. Abby looked at me, wondering how much more trouble her chat with Roger had caused our marriage. I asked, "Did you really get your own credit card?" She looked away and didn't say anything. I should have known the answer. She needed a card I didn't know about because she planned to keep seeing Roger. I asked, "How did he sound? Did he believe you?" "Please, don't get upset about what you heard. It was all a fantasy I was living. I didn't mean anything I said to him. I've never meant anything I said. Please understand. I must have been confused." "Did he buy your story? Is he going to meet you in Miami on Thursday?" "I think so. He wants money. He fits our usual pattern. I ask about his money issues, and he won't want to discuss it. When I get there, he'll keep quiet until I push him to tell me. Then he will reluctantly share his latest money situation and how much he needs. He'll be there to meet me. I don't think he noticed anything unusual. I wonder why you didn't send him money during the 2 months you were talking on the phone. Didn't he ask you for money back then?" "We talked about his money issues, but he never mentioned a specific amount. He said he was getting by, but it was day by day. I'm not sure why he didn't want me to send him money." I thought about it. Maybe he thought Abby wasn't ready to ask for money, or didn't know how to get it from far away. He didn't use his real name with Abby. I had Abby's credit cards in my office. I looked through them and found her new credit card, then gave it to her. I showed her the hotel I chose and told her to book a room for just Thursday. "We won't need Friday, and make the reservation just for you. Don't tell them I'll be with you." I thought for a moment, then added, "Actually, we might need 2 rooms. Reserve 2 rooms next to each other. If they ask, say the second room is for your children." She did that, then asked, "What time should I book the airline tickets for?" I replied, "We aren't flying, we'll drive." "But it's about an hour flight. Driving takes over 4 hours. Why aren't we flying?" "Because of some rules." "What rules?" She stood up. "You can't be serious. I'm not going if there's a problem." "So it seems you won't do what I ask after all. I knew this wasn't true. Get some clothes from your bags and get ready. Then call your father to pick you up. I'll help you with your bags. From now on, we will only communicate through lawyers." I stood up and opened one of the large suitcases. "Just take enough clothes to leave in." "I'm not going anywhere." "Yes, you are. Either dressed or with just a few things." I zipped up the bag, opened the door, and grabbed both bags. "I'll put these outside for you." As I started to take them out, Abby shouted, "Wait! Just promise me no one will get hurt." "You said you'd do everything I asked. This is what I want. There will be more requests later. I expect you to follow through as you promised." "You can't ask anything of me." Okay, I'm trusting you. Then you need to manage the situation. Take enough clothes to last until Friday. I unzipped the bag. She took out her clothes and I zipped it back up. I handed her the laptop. Find a flight that arrives in Miami around 1 p.m. so you can let him know when you'll arrive. Don't book it, but it should be a real flight in case he looks it up. I don't want him to know your room number, so just text him the hotel and your arrival time. Abby texted Roger with the hotel, airline, and her arrival time around 1 p.m. She planned to be at the hotel by about 2 p.m. She would check in and let him know she was there. Roger replied that he couldn't wait to see her. I mentioned I was working the second shift, and since Abby took off work, we were together in the house until I left for work around 4 p.m. Abby wanted to talk, but I didn't want to. Finally, I told her we could discuss our future when we got back from Miami. Until then, I didn't have anything to say. She returned to work on Tuesday and would get home after I had already left. We would only be in the house together when we were sleeping in separate rooms. We left for Miami on Thursday morning. There wasn't much talking in the car. I wanted to listen to a game while Abby preferred music. We ended up listening to the game, and she looked out her window. In my previous marriage, we would have listened to the music she liked. We arrived at the hotel around 1 p.m. The two hotel rooms were small, each a mirror image of the other. This would work. The bathrooms were next to the front doors, and both rooms had king beds. I chose one room as our main space and closed the door to the other one. I explained to Abby what I wanted her to do. Open the front door when he knocks, but step back toward the bed slowly. Don't rush it. Smile a lot. Don't make him suspicious. I'll be in the bathroom, and when he's inside, I'll come out. I don't want you and him too close when I open the door. Please keep some distance. I want him to feel a bit uneasy. We practiced our roles. I pretended to be Roger. He might get curious why she is avoiding him and not just coming to greet him. This plan might not work. It seems odd that she wouldn't simply open the door. He could get suspicious and leave. I had to think of another idea. Finally, Abby texted Roger at 2 p.m. to let him know she was checking in. She said there was a mix-up with the room, so she wasn't sure which room she would be in yet. She hoped they would sort it out before he arrived and asked him to call when he got there. I didn't want his wife to know our room number. If she doesn't know it, she can't interfere. Of course, he could still call or text her the number before coming up. I couldn't control that. He needed the room number to get in, and I hoped she would be fine knowing the hotel name and wouldn't ask for more details. Roger texted back that he would be here in 20 minutes. I then told Abby to get ready for what was about to happen. She looked confused and asked, "What do you mean?" I sighed. "Just trust me. Follow the instructions without asking too many questions." "Please put your things away neatly in the closet," I said. She looked at me seriously but did as I asked. About 10 minutes later, the phone rang. Roger had arrived in the lobby. I opened the door just a little and set the security latch, leaving it slightly open. I asked Abby to sit quietly on the bed and wait while I stepped into the bathroom. Soon, Roger knocked. "Hello?" he called as he gently pushed the door. Abby softly replied, "Come in." I stepped out and approached calmly. Roger was holding flowers and a small bag, looking for a different kind of greeting. His smile faded when he saw me. "I think I've made a mistake," he said quickly, glancing between me and the partially opened door. "I don't think so, Mr. Addison," I said evenly. "How is your wife, Cheryl? Heard anything from her lately?" Roger's eyes widened. "Look, I didn't mean to create any trouble. I'll just leave." "We need to talk. Please take a seat over there," I said, pointing to the chair by the desk. Roger hesitated but then sat down. "Abby, could you get my bag?" I asked. She stood still, clearly uncertain. "Abby," I said again, gently but firmly. She blinked and then moved to get the bag. Inside were a few items I had packed earlier for our discussion. I took Roger's phone and calmly asked, "May I see this for a moment?" He nodded slowly. I tapped the screen and showed him the recent calls list. One name stood out. Cheryl. "That's your wife, I guess." He nodded again. "Abby, could you bring me some tape from the drawer?" I asked. She looked puzzled. "Just trust me," I said softly. She handed it to me. I used it to label Roger's phone so it wouldn't get mixed up with mine. Then I took out my phone to send a photo I had taken earlier. "Abby," I said, "they've been recording you. I found a small camera hidden in one of their bags. We need to make sure this doesn't happen again." Her expression changed quickly. "What? They've been recording?" "It seems so," I replied, showing her the small device. "We'll send a message, calmly and clearly. We won't make threats, but we'll let them know we won't be taken lightly." I sent a simple image to the contact labeled Cheryl and waited. The phone rang soon after. "Hello?" I answered. "Who is this? What's going on?" "You don't know me, but I know what you and your husband have been up to," I said. "I don't know what you're talking about. You've caused some trouble." "That stops now. I'm not asking for anything in return, only that you leave us alone. No more calls. No more tricks." There was silence. "Understood?" I asked. A soft response followed. "Yes." "Good. That's all I needed." I ended the call and turned to Roger. "You can go now." He quietly picked up his bag and left. "I told her you'd agree to give something for what happened. She's very upset, and honestly, I don't know how she'll react if I say that's off the table." I paused and added, "She's threatening to take action herself, and honestly, I don't think that's a good idea for anyone." I ended the call. 30 seconds later, Cheryl called back. $25,000, I said. In cash. In 1 hour. There was a long silence before she spoke again, her tone now slower and steadier. "You must be Mark. Abby talks about you all the time, even while she was with Roger." "Hi, Abby. I assume you're listening too. It's nice to meet you. I've seen quite a bit of you, actually. We record everything Roger does with his guests. You'd be surprised at what we have." A message popped up on Roger's phone. An attachment. I didn't open it. Cheryl's voice continued on the call, calm but serious. "We have everything. Many recordings, pictures. If you want proof, I can send a short clip." "I don't care what you send," I replied. "Send it to my boss. Send it to our holiday card list. Make DVDs if you want. None of it matters now. Just send me a copy. I might need it for legal reasons." There was a pause. Then I asked, "Are you trying to back out of what you owe me?" "You'll get your money," she muttered. "It may take longer than an hour, but I'll bring it." "Where?" "You already know where we are." "And the room number?" "When you get there, call me. I'll give instructions then." I ended the call. Turning to Abby, I explained the next step. "When she calls again, I'm going to have you meet her in the lobby. We'll stay on a video call the whole time so I can see everything. Don't speak unless I ask you. You're there to help coordinate." Abby frowned. "Why me? Why not you?" I gave her a look. "Please, just follow instructions. And remember, stay calm no matter what she says or does. If she tries anything, I'll know. But we've been warned they sometimes use things to scare people. If she tries that, don't panic." Reluctantly, Abby got up and changed into suitable clothes. While she prepared, I checked Roger's phone. I found an app that showed Cheryl was at their home. She was likely getting ready for something or someone. 20 minutes later, Cheryl called. "I have the money. Where should I bring it?" "To the hotel. Abby will be at the reception desk. She'll recognize you. If you do anything unexpected, I'll call it off. No second chances." Cheryl hesitated. "Fine. Let's just get it done." "How long until you get here?" "Maybe 45 to 50 minutes. "You're 10 minutes away. I know where you are. Roger hopes you don't make this worse. Right, Roger?" He didn't respond, but I didn't need him to. "I'm sending Abby downstairs in 20 minutes. Be there, or this falls apart. Understood?" There was no argument from Cheryl this time. Just a cold, quiet, understood. "Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes. "Thank you, Cheryl." I was pretty sure now she was going to try something. We needed to change the plan. "I'll send Abby downstairs in 20. Be there, or Roger will be very unhappy." We got off. I told Abby, "Go downstairs now and sit in the lobby where you can watch the parking lot. If you see anyone lingering like they're waiting for someone, call me on video. If you don't see anyone, call me on video as soon as you see Cheryl. If someone is following her into the lobby, let me know. Take the trash bag from the bathroom and your room key." This time, Abby didn't ask questions or argue. She went downstairs to the lobby. 13 minutes later, Abby called to say, "Cheryl's almost in the lobby." We waited. "Cheryl went right to the front desk. She just saw me." "Okay, ask Cheryl to come over and sit down. Put your phone on her so I can see her." I heard Abby call her over, and I watched as Cheryl walked up. Abby told her to sit, and she did. Abby held the phone so we could see each other. Cheryl looked confident. She was more impressive than she had seemed before. She said firmly, "If Roger isn't here in 5 minutes, there will be problems." I replied, "No problem, Cheryl." She insisted, "I'm serious. Don't think I won't do something." Abby was sitting in front of Cheryl with the hotel entrance behind her. Suddenly, a man hurried through the doors, looked around nervously, spotted Cheryl, and walked quickly to stand behind her. He looked a bit like Roger, but younger and skinnier. He carried a gym bag. Cheryl turned to him and said coolly, "Glad you could join us." Then she repeated her demand for Roger to arrive. I asked, "Who's this?" "Don't worry about him. Focus on what I'm saying." I reminded her, "Think about your words." For once, Abby just listened. The man behind Cheryl seemed restless. I said, "Cheryl, it looks like you might have something that doesn't belong to you. I have what you need right here, and Roger is safe with me. You have 1 minute." I glanced at my watch. After 30 seconds, I counted, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Cheryl handed over the item, which Abby took and quietly placed in the trash bag. The man behind her opened his jacket to show something hidden inside. He raised it briefly for me to see before putting it back. He seemed anxious. Cheryl told him, "I told you not to bring that. Do you have the funds?" I said, "Aren't you going to introduce me to him?" "He's Roger's brother. He came to help out." The man said, "Just tell him I won't back down." He looked upset but kept his hand near his waistband. Cheryl snapped at him, "Stop talking and give her the bag." He hesitated but eventually handed the gym bag to Abby. I said, "Thank you, Cheryl. You can leave now." He shouted, "Why don't you face me like a man? Are you hiding behind a woman?" He adjusted his jacket angrily. I reminded him, 30 seconds. Cheryl yelled, "Leave now!" He hesitated, then angrily closed his jacket and walked towards the exit. "Thank you, Cheryl. Abby, make sure he drives away." I'm at the front door. He's getting in his car. He's driving out of the parking lot. Go back to Cheryl. She returned and held the phone up for me to see her. I said, "Cheryl, Roger is waiting for you. Put your things in Abby's bag. You will get them back after I check." Cheryl said, "Abby has everything. Just let Roger go. Not until we make sure everything is okay. You'll need to come up here to see him." She agreed and placed her things in the bag. "Abby will guide you to our room while keeping distance." Abby stood and escorted Cheryl to the elevator. I watched them until they reached our door. When Cheryl knocked, I opened it to let her in, with Abby following close behind. Cheryl glanced over at Roger, who was still tied to the chair. "I thought he was going to answer the door," she said. I picked up the gym bag and handed it to Abby. "Count the money by the window," I told her. Then I turned to Cheryl. "I wasn't completely honest earlier," I said. "I'm not ready to let Roger go yet. There are still some things I need to understand. Please place your hands on the wall and keep your feet apart." Cheryl was dressed in a t-shirt and comfortable pants. I quickly checked her for anything she might be hiding. She glanced back at me with a small smile. "Are you enjoying this?" she asked. "A bit," I said calmly. "How about you?" "Honestly, I am," she replied playfully. "I think you missed a spot." I looked over at Roger, who was watching with a deep frown. "Come on, Roger. You searched Abby earlier. I'm just being thorough," I said, trying to ease the tension. I asked Cheryl to step over to the bed. Then I grabbed her purse from a trash bag and emptied it onto the dresser. There was a small folding knife, some coins, and a wallet with $12. I kept the money and the knife and placed her phone on the dresser. At the bottom of the bag, I found a plastic toy gun. I dropped it to the floor and quietly pushed the broken pieces under the bed with my foot. Cheryl turned to me and smiled. "I knew you used to play football. I didn't realize how tall you were in person. You carry yourself well. I know you're angry at Roger. Let me help. If you let him go, maybe we can talk just the two of us." I stayed quiet. She looked over at Abby. "What do you think, Abby? Would you like to stay and talk too?" Abby didn't respond. She placed the money on the dresser, folded her arms, and turned away. She seemed uncomfortable. Cheryl added, "Come on, Abby. I liked you from the moment I met you at the bar last June. I promise I could help you forget about all this." Abby remained silent, her body stiff, still refusing to look at either of us. Roger looked furious. I turned to Cheryl and said, "I think it's just you and me for now. Abby doesn't seem up for any more conversation. What do you think, Roger? Is that all right with you?" Roger didn't answer, but his eyes bounced between us, clearly upset. Cheryl said, "He doesn't get to decide. Just let him go and we can move on." Abby finally spoke up. "You're not actually going along with this, are you?" I asked her. "Did you finish counting the money?" "Yes," she said. "It's all in $100 bills. It totals $25,000. I tossed the empty trash bag onto the bed and turned to Cheryl. "Could you place your things into the bag, please?" She paused. "I will. Just let Roger leave first." "He can stay," I said. "It's better to keep things calm and simple. Just follow instructions, and this will all be over soon. What would you like to do next?" Cheryl didn't answer right away. She looked uneasy. "We had a deal," she said. "Let's just keep it easy," I replied. "There's no need to drag this out." Abby stepped forward. "Can we just go now? This has gone far enough." "Please hand me my bag," I told her. "Just place the money inside." Cheryl helped with that. I could feel the tension growing in the room. "This doesn't have to take long," I said. "We just need to get through it." Cheryl said quietly, "There were videos of Abby, but nothing serious. Nothing that would cause trouble." I looked at her. "Well, let's keep it that way." Roger and Abby both looked tense. It was clear they didn't like how things were going, and honestly, neither did I. I could feel the tension in the air, so I knew it was time to move on. Then Cheryl suggested, "Can we talk in private? Maybe in the bathroom?" I thought it over and opened the door to the hotel room Abby had also booked. Cheryl walked inside, and I followed, shutting the door behind us. "What do you really want, Cheryl?" I asked, keeping my distance by the door. She smiled knowingly. "I want you, but not with Roger so close. Let him go, and we can talk just the two of us." "And Roger would just leave without you?" I asked. "I'll find a way. He's always followed my lead. He'll get the hint that I have things handled." She took a step closer. "Look, I'm offering you a chance to start fresh. Forget the past. Forget Abby. We deserve better. We could be good together." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "No, Roger stays." She sighed. "You don't know how tricky this is for me. He's the reason we're in this situation." She leaned in, looking up at me. "You're smart. I can tell you know what you're doing. The way you managed everything today, it's impressive." I stayed silent. She moved to the window and spoke calmly, almost thoughtfully. "It's time for me to move on. Roger and I have been in this for too long. We've had our fun, but he's becoming too unpredictable. He's spending our money on things we can't afford. I warned him not to see Abby so soon. He didn't listen." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I have a proposal. I'm serious." She turned to me. "You've got presence, control, brains. You pulled everything off today without raising any alarms. That takes skill. Ever thought about using that talent for something that gets you ahead?" I narrowed my eyes. "What are you suggesting?" "A partnership. You and me. We work together. The kind of work where you rise quickly, really quickly. People will trust you, or they'll be wary. Either way, we'll have the advantage." "I'm not a criminal," I said firmly. She laughed softly. "Really? Are you sure about that? The world is full of tricks. Everyone's playing a role. Abby's been hiding things from you for months, maybe longer. You've been misleading her too. Today was about control and revealing the truth, wasn't it? Not just closure." "I did what I had to do." "Exactly. And you did well. You don't have to decide now. Just think about it. We'd make a great team, and we'd be hard to stop." She walked past me toward the door and stopped. "Whether you want to admit it, you don't belong in a quiet life anymore. You've crossed a line. Now you just need to decide where you stand." Then she left the room, leaving silence behind. "I thought you and Roger were married." "This is about business for me. Roger wanted something more, so we pretended. The problem is Roger gets jealous sometimes. They're just clients, but he never understood that. You won't be possessive, right? So you've been deceiving Roger? Everyone bends the truth at times. Abby misled you. You misled Abby. You've been guiding us to this point, too. Don't think you're different. You're a natural. Your plan today got you $25,000. Not bad. You just need to learn how to do this without pressure. You don't scare people into giving. You simply ask nicely. If you do it right, they'll give you more than if you force them. Why the videos? Why film Abby and Roger? We record our married clients. If they find out and think about going to the authorities, they hesitate when we show them a video they were in. Think about my offer. Take a break from the hotel business and work with me for a few weeks. See if you like it. I bet you will. I didn't really understand what she wanted. If you are ending things with Roger, why come here, give me $25,000 and put yourself at risk? Why not just tell me to leave when I asked for the money? Cheryl was convincing. She said, I've looked into you and Abby. Unless you're playing football, you're not a threat. You won't hurt me. This isn't too risky. I have something else to talk about. Roger took my money and kept it hidden. It's a large amount. We've been arguing a lot these days, so he might feel like our partnership is over. He hid the money to use it against me. He knows I need it to leave. So you came for the money Roger took. If he stays here and you do nothing, he'll think he's fine with me. He wouldn't give me back my money. But if I help him, he might still believe everything is okay. I hope he eventually returns the money. I had to borrow the $25,000 from someone who charges a lot of interest, and I need to pay them back on time to keep things right. That's why it took so long to bring the money here. Someone had to get it for me, but I'm responsible for paying it back. So when you and Roger leave here, he'll give you your money back, and then you can pay off the loan. It's not that easy. Roger gets very jealous. You saw how he acted when he thought I liked someone else. I cut in, but that was your doing. I didn't even say anything until you brought it up. Why would you do that if you knew it would make him upset? Roger and I have been together a long time. He thinks I have a plan to get the money back and leave with him. If you had let him go, you might have given him the money back. But I would have denied anything bad. Now that you didn't let him leave, Roger will be really angry with me. If he wanted to hide money before, he will definitely do so now, just to get back at me. You've had your fun with me. We shared good moments. I'm serious. I had a great time. But I need the $25,000 back. If I pay the loan tonight or tomorrow, I can manage the interest. I'll pay you back from the first money we make together, or when I get my money back from Roger, you'll get yours too. I'm fine with that. Cheryl, why do I feel like a target? She laughed. Don't be silly. I'm asking you to work with me. You'd be perfect. I could never trick you. You're too smart. We just don't need anyone trying to cause trouble while we get started. I got dressed, gathered my things, and made sure everything was secure. I told Cheryl, let's go. We walked back to the room with Abby and Roger. Abby looked upset. Roger was watching both me and Cheryl, clearly not happy with us. I told Cheryl to stand by the bed. Abby, please pack the money and my knife in my travel bag, along with your cell phone. She did it, but wouldn't look me in the eye, appearing very upset. Cheryl, Roger, it was nice to meet you. I know where you both live. But I know a lot about you, too. As you probably guessed, I have good connections with the police. I thanked Cheryl for everything, and told her I wouldn't take Roger's place as her partner, because that's not the life I wanted. Cheryl rolled her eyes, suggesting her offer was meant to be private. I suspected their relationship was already troubled, just like mine had been. I don't want to hear from either of you or from Jimmy. If I do, even if it's just a holiday card, I'll come for you, and I won't be so nice next time. You really don't want to cross me. You're both okay for now. Consider this a warning and walk away. I turned to Abby. Do you want to say something to Roger? Or maybe share a nice memory? I can wait if that's what you want. Abby, looking upset, walked toward the door. No. Fine. That's your choice. Cheryl, are we finished? Will you and Roger leave me alone? Cheryl replied, We're done. You stay out of our lives, and we'll do the same. Roger, are we done here? He stared at me angrily. Even though he had tape on his mouth, he could have nodded no, but he didn't. Cheryl said, I'll talk to him. I'll make sure he knows it's over. What about Jimmy? Should I be worried about him? Cheryl paused before saying, I'll let Jimmy know it's over. The money wasn't his, he just gave it to me. But Jimmy can be unpredictable. He knows you have a lot of cash, so it may be safer to leave it here. I can't promise he'll listen, but I will talk to him. I replied, I'm going to throw away your pocket knives. You'll need them to help free Roger. We can throw your things in the trash can by the elevator. Abby, get the bag with her clothes and their phones. Don't forget the key cards for both rooms. I tossed their pocket knives into the toilet and left, putting Cheryl's things and their phones into the trash can. I put my travel bag in the trunk, and we got in my car. I drove out of the parking lot and found a spot across the street. Abby asked, What are you doing? I want to check the rooms. They might have left some things for cleaning staff to find. I want to make sure everything is okay. We shouldn't have to wait long for them to leave. About 10 minutes later, we saw Cheryl leaving the hotel. Roger was behind her, shouting angrily. Cheryl looked upset, but ignored him and kept her distance. He yelled at her before heading to his car. They drove away while we parked again. I said, Let's go. We got out of the car, and at the entrance, I acted like I was searching my pockets for my phone. Did I leave my phone in the car? Do you still have the key cards? Okay, I'll meet you upstairs. Start looking for anything we need to take. I'll wait while you get your phone. Just go ahead and start checking. I don't want to stay here longer than necessary. I'll be right up. Abby went into the lobby and I went back to the car. I unlocked the door and kept an eye on the lobby. Abby was waiting for the elevator but turned to watch me. I knelt in the front seat, pretending to search for my phone. Abby entered the elevator, and once the doors closed, I got my phone from under the seat and drove out of the parking lot. I found a restaurant to eat, thinking about my day. It had gone well, maybe even better than I expected. I had fun and achieved most of my goals. Roger and Cheryl got a taste of how their actions can affect others. I wasn't sure if this would change them, but they might be a bit more careful in the future. I wanted them to feel some of what their victims went through, just a little consequence. They disrupted my marriage for money, not for love or desire. That's how they live. They take advantage of people like Abby and leave harm in their wake. I started getting calls from a Miami area code, and eventually, Abby's father called. I decided to ignore all the calls. I didn't think Cheryl or Roger would come after me. If they do, I'll be ready. Abby wouldn't be there to block them. The only unknown was Jimmy. I was worried about him, so I called Lieutenant Markey while driving north from Miami. Markey answered, Hey, Mark, are you calling about Roger and Cheryl? No. Roger has a brother named Jimmy, or James, and maybe one called Addison. What do you know about him? Let me check, I said as I drove, waiting for Markey. I found his record. He's 27 years old and spent 3 years in prison for an attack when he was 17. Let me go through the details. I paused as he chuckled. You won't believe this. He was caught in a scheme similar to what his brother did with a woman he met at a Miami Beach bar. She let a man into his room, but when Jimmy asked for money, the man said no, and Jimmy got aggressive. The woman ran away, and Jimmy took the man's money and left. The next night, the man, still shaken, returned to the bar and saw the same woman. He notified the police, and she revealed Jimmy's name. You would think she'd choose a different place for some time. You might think so. What else do you know about Jimmy? A few other incidents. He got into fights at bars and had some trouble with drugs, but the police mishandled his arrest. I'll reach out to someone in Miami police who can give more clarity. Can I listen in? It might be better if it's just me. I'll call you back. We ended the call, and I continued north on I-95. About 20 minutes later, Markey called back. My contact wasn't available when you called about Roger. Instead, I talked to someone else who had some official info, but my contact is on duty tonight and knows what they've been up to. Jimmy is involved in breaking and entering and small-time scams. He told me Roger was in similar activities until he met Cheryl. She guides Roger on what to do. He's charming with women, but she is the planner. If Roger tries to target your wife, Cheryl will know everything about you both, including how to take advantage of her. They might think about bringing Jimmy along, but he's unpredictable. He often seems under the influence. What kinds of substances? My contact thinks it might be meth, but Jimmy will take anything he can get. He mentioned that if Cheryl sees a problem, she and Roger might leave quickly to disappear. The toy gun is all they have in terms of threats since they teamed up. It's just a prop, helping them claim they aren't armed if caught. Neither has faced legal action since they started working together. The mugshot I sent you of Cheryl is from over 15 years ago, the last time she got arrested. Is Cheryl as appealing as her picture? I said, even more so than in her photo. Marky continued, if Jimmy sees a problem, he tends to make it worse, usually by intimidating others. The person he bothered in the hotel didn't have much money. Jimmy's behavior seemed driven by personal issues rather than just trying to get money. Cheryl and Roger have their own challenges, but Jimmy is a real danger. He's reckless and thinks he's invincible. Does he have a gun? Not legally. Mark, what's going on? You can trust me. I'm driving back from a friendly meeting in Miami with Roger and Cheryl about their involvement with my wife. Marky interrupted. Am I going to hear from the Miami police because of this? No, it was a peaceful meeting and we reached an understanding. But Jimmy showed up during our conversation. He wasn't friendly, seemed restless, and for some reason didn't like me. Cheryl had to ask him to leave because of his rudeness and her worries about his stability. What was his issue with you? Honestly, I don't know. People usually like me. Cheryl, Roger, and I have built a good relationship, but Jimmy seemed to hold a grudge against me for no reason. Marky was silent for a moment, and I asked, can you find out if Jimmy has a car? Hold on. A blue 23 Mustang GT. Does Jimmy have any friends? He used to hang out with two others who got into trouble. One is in jail for breaking in. My source thinks Jimmy was involved but managed to escape blame. His friend didn't say anything against him. The other friend upset someone and faced harsh consequences. If Jimmy has found new friends, it's too soon for my source to know, except for Roger. Jimmy and Roger spend a lot of time together. I'm worried he might be a problem. Can you have your team keep an eye out for his car? Please let me know if you see him. Of course. If we spot him, we'll check on him. If he has anything wrong, it could lead to big problems. I'll also let Miami PD know he has been seen in risky situations. I won't involve you in this. If he shows up at your house, don't confront him. Just call for help. It's easier for us to handle it. I'll keep you posted. I thanked Marky and we ended the call. About an hour north of Miami, I stopped at one of our hotels off 95 in Boca. It had been a long day, and I was tired. I hit the road after breakfast and got home just before noon. Abby's father, Mike, had his plumbing truck parked in front. I parked in the driveway and went inside. Mike was standing by the door and he didn't look happy. Abby was sitting on the couch, looking drained with red eyes. She had clearly been upset. Mike didn't say hello. Instead, he asked, "You left my daughter in Miami?" No, he was not pleased. "Yeah. 4 hours in the car with her felt overwhelming. She wanted to fly. She got home faster than I did. I wasn't worried. If she could plan her trip to see her boyfriend, she could arrange her return. I left her the credit card she just got so she could manage her expenses without me knowing. There's a hotel phone in the room and a computer in the lobby, so she should have been able to make plans to come back." We stared at each other for a moment, but he didn't say anything. I said, "Mike, let's sit down and talk about what happens next." He sat next to Abby on the couch, and I took a seat in the recliner. I'll start. Abby and I are divorcing. I don't care why she made that choice, how long it has been happening, or if this is the first time. She made a choice that ended our marriage, period. Since Abby made the choice, I think she should be fair in our divorce settlement. But I don't expect her to be. So our lawyers will handle it. I have a lawyer. Abby should get one too. Abby, your clothes are in those 2 suitcases. If you want to check for anything I might have missed, that's fine. I'll keep the jewelry unless a judge says otherwise. You made choices that mean you need to leave. If you don't leave, I'll stop paying the mortgage and you'll have to manage it or they'll take the house. We'll see how it goes when the attorneys start discussing things. I think that covers everything. I'll help you with the suitcases. Abby said, "We need to talk. I want to explain. You said we'd talk after we got back from Miami." I replied, "Abby, I'm sure it would help you to share your reasons. I understand you want to express yourself. You may have found various excuses, feeling lonely, my work, or other influences. Lots of blame to go around. Whatever the reasons, I'm not interested. It's simple for me. We took wedding vows. I took my vows seriously, but you didn't. You broke your promises, and that ended our marriage. I don't want to talk about it anymore." Abby began to cry. "Please, let's talk. We can work through this. We need to discuss it. Us. We can move forward." "No." Mike spoke up. "Why did you take Abby to Miami?" "She said she felt scared the entire time." You put my daughter in a tough situation. Abby made plans for a weekend that didn't fit with our marriage. I can't change what happened, but I wanted to face it directly. I'm sorry Abby felt this way, but she should have thought about her choices sooner. Mike tried once more. Abby made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. You have too. She loves you. She won't do anything like this again. Why can't you give her another chance? Abby met someone and said she waited to make certain choices for a whole day. That was in June. She stayed connected with this person for 2 months. If that was a mistake, it was a long one. If it was a mistake, I think during those 2 months, Abby might have thought to herself, this isn't right. But she never did. It only became a real issue after she was found out. I have to go to work. Since there's nothing else to discuss, let's leave everything else to the lawyers. I'll help with the bags. They really left. This is a state where you don't need a reason for divorce. Abby got a lawyer, probably because her father wanted her to. My lawyer sent a fair divorce agreement, which includes a bit of support, but not much, based on my income and hers, lasting as long as we were married. The house has a loan, and there's not much left after that. I like the peace now that no one is bothering me. I can manage the loan on my own, so I suggested buying out Abby's share. Abby and her lawyer haven't replied to our settlement offer, only asking for marriage counseling first. They want counseling before discussing the divorce. Abby is stalling, hoping I will talk to her so she can explain. She thinks that once I hear her, I'll change my mind about the divorce. I'm not agreeing to counseling, so we are at a standstill. Abby came to see me the Friday after our talk with her father. She was waiting on the porch when I got back from the gym. I need to talk to you. We haven't discussed this enough. It can't end like this. We can fix this. There's nothing else to explain. I'm not interested. Our marriage is over. Please leave me alone. It's not fair. Others are getting divorced, but they've been unfaithful for years. I make one mistake and you won't give me a chance to explain. I couldn't help but laugh. You think you're better than your friends? Come on. You're just delaying the divorce. I showed Abby a picture I had taken related to the situation. I want to finish the divorce. Don't slow down the process. If I don't see progress from your lawyer in the next week, I'll share this with your family and others. Don't think I won't. Sign the papers or give me a serious response. Stop asking for counseling. Now please leave. You made me take that picture. I didn't make you do those things. I went inside and closed the door. After a while, Abby left. The next Monday, my lawyer got a reply to our divorce proposal from Abby's lawyer. Our divorce is moving forward. I've started carrying my security item when I'm out of the house. Not when I'm working, just during my trips or errands. At home, I have other safety measures. I try to stay careful. 10 days after we met, I was still working the evening shift. I usually finished around midnight and spent about 20 to 30 minutes going over my accounts and discussing anything unusual with the person replacing me. When I was ready to leave, I locked up my equipment. As always, the parking lot was empty when I walked to my car at the far end of the hotel lot. I was unlocking my vehicle when I felt a poke in my back. Turn around slowly. Put your hands up. I turned to find 2 people standing close by. Put your hands up, one of them repeated. I nodded and said, Yes, sir. You're going to regret how you treated me in taking what belongs to me, one of them said. I answered, Yes, sir. They seemed tense and unsteady. Is your wife home? We might have some fun. I kept my calm, not revealing that Abby wasn't living with me anymore. The money you mentioned is at my house, in a safe in my office. I can show you, I said. I want you to see what happens next, one of them said, continuing their threatening talk. I stayed quiet, trying to handle the situation mindfully, aware of the unease around us. Once we entered a room, the tension grew. Roger pointed to me. Put the phone down and back away slowly, he ordered. I did so, using only my right hand. Jimmy stood nearby, watching carefully. Roger stepped between us to grab my phone. I had been a college athlete, larger and stronger than most. When Roger moved between me and Jimmy, I saw a chance. I pushed Roger back into Jimmy. They both stumbled and fell over. There was a loud crash as they hit the ground. In the confusion, something fell beside them. Roger groaned, lying across Jimmy, who was trying to get free. I stepped closer and pulled them apart. Roger was unconscious. Jimmy wasn't moving much either. I checked Roger's pulse but felt nothing. He wasn't breathing. His eyes were blank. I steadied myself and noticed something on the floor beside them. I carefully stepped around it and took out Roger's phone from his pocket. I stepped back and called Cheryl using his phone. She answered quickly, sounding upset. "Where have you been? I needed those pictures tonight. I've worked so hard on this. Are you with Jimmy again?" "This is Mark," I said. "We met briefly a couple of weeks ago. I have some bad news. Roger is gone." There was silence. Then her voice softened. "Gone? Are you sure?" "Yes. He's not responsive. He collapsed during a struggle. It was an accident." "Where's Jimmy?" "He's here too, not doing well." She sighed heavily. "Those two. They've been a mess since you and I met. Honestly, Roger has been off track for a while now." Then she asked, suddenly more focused, "Where's Abby? Is she at your place?" "No, we're separated. She's staying with her parents." "Why?" She breathed out, almost relieved. "Good. That makes things easier." I paused. "Easier for what?" Her tone changed, almost lighthearted. "Well, with Roger gone, I can't recover what he owed me. He never returned the money he took, and now I have to deal with the fallout. I'm trying to manage things alone, but it's difficult. He was supposed to help. Now I have no support, and too many people relying on me." Before I could respond, she continued, "You know this all started because you made a move. You told Roger I was thinking about replacing him. That caused a lot of trouble. So it's only fair you help me out now." "What do you mean?" "Oh, come on. You know what I mean. I need a place to go. Somewhere I can regroup. Since Abby's out of the picture, you have the space. I think I can reach there by morning. You can't come here. Remember, you said you don't have an alarm system? If I arrive and the police are still with you, I will wait inside. If not, maybe we can talk." She stopped for a moment. "Don't worry, I won't cause any trouble. I just need a few hours of sleep. We can discuss how to move on from all of this." Her voice softened a bit. "And by the way, it was smart to let Abby go. I never liked her anyway. She looked good in pictures, but you deserve someone better. I hope you tell me how you found out about her and Roger someday." I bet she wasn't planning to admit anything soon. The line went quiet. I stared at my phone, thinking about everything that had just happened and what was still to come. "I'll bring all the video I have of them together if you want to see it. Cheryl, I'm not giving you the money back. You're not going to stay with me. And how do you plan to get into my house without a key? Of course I will stay with you for a while. You owe me that. Just tell the police that Roger and Jimmy came after you because I told Roger I was leaving him for you. Simple and easy to understand. Here I am, living with you. That's a much better story for the cops than what really happened in Miami. You wouldn't want them to find out about our hotel meeting. I won't tell. You don't want them to know what you and Roger did that led to my visit either. Exactly. It works out for both of us. But Roger's actions with Abby and accepting gifts aren't against the law. Roger is gone, and I had no idea about what he was doing. I was shocked to find out that he was unfaithful to me with Abby. But I didn't threaten anyone. But I don't want anything to do with the police. I don't want them involved. I'll just say that Roger was very upset when I left him for you. I left Roger, and you kicked Abby out so we could be together. It's a straightforward story that the cops will accept. You want to know how I'll get into your house without a key? I started learning how to get into homes when I was in middle school. I don't need a key, but it's easier if I have one. There's probably a spare key under a plant near your front door. Don't worry, I'll find it. I might be there when you get home. If you get there first, I'll just let myself in unless you want to stay up to welcome me. And it's not about the money. Keep it. I just want to get to know you better. I need a break from my old ways anyway. I'm really looking forward to this. We'll have a lot of fun. You won't regret it. We can talk about the money later. Is there anything to do in your town? Are there any nice hotels with bars? Other than yours, of course. Cheryl, why do I feel like I'm now being targeted? Well, duh. Your name is Mark. She laughed, maybe more a cackle than a laugh, and said, I'm just kidding. I can't outsmart you. More laughing. See you soon. Mark. She hung up. Mackie said Cheryl and Roger were married for 10 years. I guess she's moved on pretty quickly. I wiped down Roger's phone and used the bottom of my shirt to drop it under his hand in a puddle. I have to tell the police something about why Roger and Jimmy were here. I can't say it was just an accident. If they really investigate, they will connect them to me. Marky knows I've been asking about them. Cheryl's story about our connection and Roger's jealousy is a good one. I can convince the police with that. It won't matter what Jimmy says. They'll trust me more than him, and Marky will back me up. I just don't know how to deal with Cheryl. I picked up my phone and called 911. A voice on the other end said, 911, what's your emergency? I turned to Cheryl and asked, what will it take for you to leave my life? She replied, oh good, we're negotiating. How much do you have? I suggested, how about $10,000? She countered, make it 20. I said, how about you just go, please leave. You're going to throw a poor widow out in this storm? That's just cold. I'd freeze out there. It'll be on your mind. Cheryl tried to hold a serious look, but couldn't help laughing. I added, Cheryl, it's August in Florida. No storms here. Cheryl chuckled and said, see, you're too clever for me. I can't trick you. I guess I'll just have to stay as your partner. We'd make a great team. I responded, I'm not your partner. She smiled and replied, we'll see about that. I have to stick around for a bit. You told the police that Roger and Jimmy came after you because we got close, not the real reason. We need to be living together to sell that story. We can argue later. For now, it'll be fun. That was part of the conversation I had with Cheryl when I got home. The cops finally let me go around 10 a.m. after keeping me for more than 9 hours. I explained my story to them at least 6 times, and they said they wanted to see me again the next morning for a signed statement. They also needed to talk to Cheryl. When I arrived home, I checked to see if the spare key was still under the potted plant by my front door. It was missing. I found Cheryl fast asleep in my bed. She was not wearing much, which made me pause and watch her for a moment. She must have sensed my presence as she woke up, stretched, and asked, do you want to sleep, talk, or do something else? That's when I asked her how to get her out of my life, and she told me she was staying to keep up the story that we're close. I was too tired to argue. I've been sitting in a hot police station for hours. I'm going to take a shower, I said. Okay, she replied. Cheryl got up and moved to help me with my belt. I asked, what are you doing? She simply said, helping. I finished getting ready and headed to the bathroom with Cheryl right behind me. I stopped and looked at her. She smiled and said, I could use a shower too. You've had a long night. Let me take care of you. And she did. We enjoyed the warm water together, and it felt nice to wash away our tiredness. We stayed in the shower until the water started to cool down. Afterwards, we helped dry each other off. I thought, maybe she should stick around a bit longer. After our shower, we got back into bed. Cheryl rested her head on my chest, looked up at me, and asked, what happened with the police? I replied, I haven't slept in 24 hours, but we need to talk and be clear about our stories. I'll keep it short. I told the police that I learned about Abby's unfaithfulness from my contact at the Miami Beach resort. When Abby came home, I called Lieutenant Markey, who is the police contact for the hotel. Just so you know, Cheryl, Markey is on our side, so when you meet him, please be polite. We want him to stay friendly. Cheryl said, like I'm going to trust a cop. I replied, I forgot who I was dealing with. Just be nice to him. Anyway, I called Markey, and he shared information about Roger and you. I decided to reach out to see if you knew about your husband's affair with my wife. You were understandably upset when you found out. We decided to confront our spouses, so I took Abby to Miami to meet you and Roger. Why did you need 2 hotel rooms? And how did you get my phone number? She asked. They asked about the rooms. I mentioned that I planned to spend the night in Miami and wanted to avoid any awkward situations. I found your name and address from the police report, which helped me locate your phone number online. Cheryl replied, smart. I need to see the police reports about me. Of course. You arrived in Miami with Roger, who brought Jimmy along for support. You asked Jimmy to leave because he was acting too aggressively. Roger and Abby had agreed to end their relationship, so Roger left to join Jimmy. You stayed behind, and I think we both felt a surprising connection. Abby felt left out and went to rest in another room. You and I had a good time together, and you suggested we go out for dinner. I suggested dinner? Why didn't you tell me that? I'm a married man with Abby nearby. I have a good reputation in the community, while you are just a woman dealing with your own issues. Cheryl playfully nudged me. Thanks a lot. You could have taken a chance. When I talk to the police, I'll say you made the first move. And who says, just a woman anymore? Go on. We agreed to meet at the restaurant where I had dinner. The bill only showed one meal because you weren't hungry. You just wanted to talk. We had a real connection. After dinner, I returned to the hotel and found out Abby had already left. I thought she decided to fly home, so I drove back that night. I called Marky to check on Jimmy, but ended up staying overnight at one of our hotels in Boca. You and I were exploring what our relationship could be. We spoke on the phone and realized we wanted to be together. I asked Abby to move out, and you told Roger you were leaving him for me. How did we keep in touch after dinner? I told them you called me at work. They didn't dig deeper because they were mainly curious about why Roger and Jimmy confronted me in the parking lot. They might check your phone records too, possibly looking for any inconsistencies in our stories. It's crucial that we don't leave a record of our conversations. Cheryl came up with an idea. It's good that you mentioned I called you at work. We can say I got a temporary phone to keep our new relationship hidden from Roger and only contacted you when you were at work so Abby wouldn't get suspicious. Abby wasn't living with me after Miami. Then I'll say Roger was out in the evenings, making that the safest time to talk while you were working. I got rid of the temporary phone, so there's no evidence of our discussions. I can't even remember the number now. I called your hotel through the main line and dialed your extension, so nobody knew we were in touch. What's your extension? 124, that works. Cheryl jumped up and took my phone from the nightstand. What's your PIN? I want to add my number to your contacts. I hesitated, thinking about what it meant for her to have access to my phone. Just show me. She did, and put in her number. I continued to explain what I told the police. Roger confronted me in the parking lot and wanted to argue. He asked if I had any money at home. I said there was money in my safe. There isn't, but I wanted to give them a reason not to harm me, so I pretended they needed me to open it. They made many threats about what they might do. Then, an incident happened when Roger backed into Jimmy and I called the police. They'll know I got a phone call from Roger's phone. What did you say about that? Roger called you to report how your new friend was scared, claiming Roger was the better man. He kept doing that until Jimmy shot him. You must have heard it. Perfect. I did hear it. As I said, you have a real skill for this. You're very clever. You're going to be a great partner. We're going to do really well together. Cheryl hugged me. Wait. There are issues with that story for both of us. Marky drove me back to my car when they were done with me. Marky said Jimmy is facing serious charges. Jimmy shot Roger, which led to Roger's death during a crime. It doesn't matter if it was on purpose or not. But for this serious charge, they have to prove that Jimmy was committing a crime when he shot Roger. A good lawyer will argue that Jimmy and Roger were just trying to check into a hotel, maybe for a baseball game or something like that. Jimmy took out his gun for a harmless reason. Roger tripped and fell back on Jimmy, causing the gun to go off by mistake. His lawyer will claim I made up my story because of past issues with Jimmy in Miami. Their connection will suggest there was no real crime, and therefore, no serious charge. You, me, and maybe Abby will have to testify that Roger and Jimmy were there to intimidate me, and that was what they were doing. We will need to show why. The reason is that Roger was shot while trying to stop me from getting involved with you. This is a problem for you because the trial will be in the news, and your creditor will find out where you are. The press might reveal our names soon. Cheryl interrupted. If this makes the news, he'll know where I am. It's likely to draw attention. Will he come this far to collect $25,000? He'll want to make it clear that you can't avoid paying him. Yes, he'll come looking for me. Not himself, but he'll send his people. So that's one issue. The other is mine. I'm a married man who was involved with a married woman whose spouse came looking for me and met a sad end. That's a big problem for H, which affects me personally. H actually sent a public relations person to the police station in the middle of the night. I think Marky contacted the person in charge of the late shift at H, and she reached out to our PR team. The PR representative convinced the police to announce that there was an attempted robbery involving one of H's workers and that one of the robbers was hurt. Just that no background, only Jimmy's and Roger's names. That's good news for you about your creditor. With everything happening in Miami, that report won't seem important if that's all the press is told. Marky mentioned that police can get money to share details about arrests. Sooner or later, more information will come out, especially if there's a trial. They need our testimonies to clarify what happened. But even if it stays quiet and doesn't go to trial, this situation is still bad for me. H can't fire me for being a victim of a crime or for my personal choices, but they won't promote me. I've brought unwanted attention to the H brand. It's much better than anyone finding out the full story. If they knew what really happened in Miami, I'd be dismissed and could have legal problems. My career in hotel management, especially at H, might be over. I'm set to meet my manager tomorrow to talk about this. He's a good guy and supportive, but no one will want to be around me now. Where's Jimmy? What's he saying? Jimmy hit his head and was knocked out when Roger fell on him. If they ask about his injuries, I'll say it was a shocking experience and I forgot the details. Jimmy is in the hospital for monitoring. He'll probably be released tomorrow and face a hearing the next day. Cheryl said, "You really told the story well. It fits the facts and is clear. I couldn't have done better myself. You're a great partner." Cheryl, why are you here? I'm going through a divorce. We own the house, but there's very little equity. We have some savings, but we'll end up dividing that. I'm not the person who's going to make you rich. I know you're good at manipulating, so I won't believe any stories you tell. Aren't there better places for you to take advantage of people? Are you really going through all this just to get back $25,000? So you won't believe anything I say, right? I nodded. Then I'll share the truth. You probably won't believe me anyway, so why not? I'm not here for your money. I'm here for you. I told you I need a break from everything, but you're not worried about me tricking you. You're too smart for that. What are you really worried about? That you're living here with me. I want to try to fix my career. But if you run into problems, you'll be linked to me. Then my boss might let me go. How about if I promise not to break any rules while I'm here? I won't do anything without your agreement. I can't work alone, and I'm missing one partner. I won't have any money coming in, but if that's what you're worried about, you can stop. Nothing will happen until you're ready. Just don't take too long. I need money. I wish I could trust you. But I want to be clear. If I find out you've broken any laws or are planning to do something wrong, I will report you. I need to sleep. I have to wake up for work in a few hours. Cheryl said goodnight but didn't move away. She rested her hands on my shoulders, using me as her pillow. I repeated that I needed to sleep. She didn't move, just said, "I'm not going to disturb you. Go to sleep." It was nice having her there, but I asked, "Did you forget to bring your pajamas? I can lend you something." She hushed me and said, "Go to sleep." Who wears pajamas anymore? Feeling cold from the air conditioning, Cheryl pulled the covers over us, and I closed my eyes, falling asleep almost immediately. I woke up to someone gently touching my arm. At first I was confused and thought it was Abby, but that didn't seem like her personality. I turned to see Cheryl behind me smiling. "It's a little after 2 p.m. I don't know how much time you need to get ready for work, but you need some relaxation," she said, laughing and trying to lighten the mood. Once things calmed down, Cheryl mentioned not liking protection much. "Let's both get tested and see what happens next. I'm not worried about myself. Roger always took care of that. But Abby has had many partners," she added. I asked how she knew Abby had many partners. "Did Abby tell Roger that?" Cheryl sighed. "We make arrangements with people to keep our business running smoothly in their places. Bartenders are especially important. They let us work and can even point out opportunities. After Abby left the bar with Roger last June, I asked the bartender what he knew about her. He said she comes to the resort every 6 months or so, usually with another woman. They come to his bar, try to have fun, and if things go well, they leave with a guy. If not, they move on. He guessed they go to clubs. One time, before leaving, they asked if he knew about a new club in Miami. Also, Abby wasn't wearing a wedding ring when Roger picked her up. That shows she has had multiple partners, so testing before anything else makes sense to me. I went into work and met my boss. He said that the higher-ups don't know what to do with me. If the part about the unhappy husband confronting me doesn't get out, maybe things will calm down over time. But for now, my reputation is at risk. Just being involved with a married woman is enough to hurt anyone's career at this company. His advice was to wait, hope no new bad news comes, and see what happens. I got home around 12:30 a.m. Cheryl was asleep without pajamas. I climbed into bed and unintentionally woke her up. She sat up and asked, What did your manager say? I thought you were going to call and tell me what was happening. I didn't know I had to call and check on things. Of course you do. We're a team. What did he say? They said they don't know what to do with me, but that I'm not in the best situation. Maybe I'll be okay if nothing else comes out about what happened when someone confronted me. I listened to the news on the way home, but there was nothing new. Have you been watching? Cheryl said. Yes. They are reporting a robbery in a back parking lot at the H. One person was killed, and another is in custody. More details are coming later. H is getting a security company to patrol their parking lots at night. There isn't much news, just mostly what H is doing to handle the situation. I doubt there will be any more updates tomorrow. Cheryl switched topics. Things have been nice for both of us, but it feels a bit one-sided. She moved closer and began sharing more about her own situation, guiding the conversation to a more comfortable place. The next morning, I went to the police station, went over my story again, and signed a statement to support it. The police called Cheryl and set up an appointment for her to come in the next morning. Before Cheryl returned from her interview, Marky called me. At least your stories match. What are you doing with her, Mark? She seems nice. She told us she lives with you, but gave Miami as her home address. Are you sure about this? It's fine to have fun, but living together? She has some challenges. What can I say? We get along well. I think she's trying to improve, but I'll keep an eye on things. If I see anything wrong, I'll let you know right away. Any updates on Jimmy Addison? He's been charged with serious crimes, and his bail is set at $1 million. One less troublemaker on the streets. By the way, that's Cheryl's brother-in-law. But don't worry, he won't be joining you for Christmas. I'd guess neither will Cheryl. After the call, I felt relieved that Cheryl had told a better story instead of something that could harm me. When Cheryl got home, she told me about her day. Jimmy has a public defender and he called me. Jimmy wants to talk. His lawyer is going to arrange for me to see him at 2 p.m. on Friday. What does he want to talk about? I'm not sure. I asked the lawyer and he said Jimmy didn't say. Maybe he wants to talk about arrangements for Roger. Jimmy can't handle it, but I don't know why he doesn't just ask his mother. I don't know much about her, and I've never met her. I think Jimmy thinks it falls to me. I'll help with Roger if I can find the funds. You were together for 10 years and you never met Roger's mother? We were actually together more like 12 years. We told everyone we were married about 10 years ago, but we never officially tied the knot. I guess it could be seen as a common law marriage, but we never got a marriage license. Telling people we were married made us seem more stable and trustworthy. I mentioned in Miami that it was more of a business relationship for me. I cared for Roger, and I'm sad he's gone. But we were also partners in business. He wanted something deeper, and I went along with it. I stayed loyal to him all that time. I was involved with a few other men over the years, but that was part of the business. He knew, or at least suspected. He didn't ask, and I didn't share. But I never got involved with anyone for romantic reasons. In the last few years, I haven't been part of any scams myself. Roger enjoyed his work more than I did, so I took care of planning while he was busy. I wasn't aiming to trick anyone, just gathering information and giving him advice, until you invited us to your hotel room. After that, he was so focused on you that he couldn't even assist me. The night he passed away, I had a promising date arranged. He could have been a good source of income, but Roger was so taken with you that he didn't show up to take photos. You were the first person I got close to besides Roger in a long time. I know this might sound hard to believe, but it's true. I came to your hotel room in Miami planning for Roger and me to leave with the money I had given you. But being with you in person changed everything. You were about to walk away when I stopped you, saying I needed to talk privately. I assume that was the case, right? Yes, we were about to leave. I looked into your background and Abby's. You have a fascinating story. I had an idea of who you were, but found you were different from what I thought. I knew if you agreed to talk privately, we would connect in a real way. There was a spark between us. I hesitated to leave because I sensed a good opportunity, but I also had my own interests to think about. Cheryl smiled, understanding the mix of feelings. Yes, there were many layers, but I genuinely wanted to connect with you. I replied, I understand your perspective. If you did all this research on me, how come Roger didn't know I was Abby's husband? He asked if I was a police officer. I know all about you. Roger only knew what Abby shared. If I told him you were an honors student, he might have accidentally mentioned it to Abby, and she would have gotten suspicious. How would Roger know that? How do you know that? I have your college records. I worked with someone who helped me access your school files. It was a bit extravagant, but you seemed interesting. Let's discuss something else. I owe you for last night. You were amazing. You understood everything perfectly. I want to repay you. By the way, I found a lab that will do a health check. I should have the results soon. I used your credit card to pay for it. It was one of the shared cards I found at your place. Meet the new Mrs. Abigail Joyner. Text me the address of the lab, and I'll go there on my way to work. Please return the credit card to my office. On Friday, Cheryl left to see Jimmy while I went to work. When I got home the next morning, Cheryl and her 2 large suitcases were gone. No note. She had been living out of those bags, but I found her clothing left on the bed in my guest room. I looked through what she had left: practical items. Undergarments, shorts, tops, workout clothes, a swimsuit, shoes, more shoes, and cosmetics. No pajamas. There were lots of clothes, but nothing costly. I figured she was probably moving on. Then I thought to check the safe. She had spent a lot of time here alone, so maybe she found a way to access it. I opened it, and the money was still there. But I also found a handwritten note. Just wanted you to know that I'm not after your money. Love, Cheryl. I needed to let Marky know that Cheryl was no longer living with me. Getting her to testify might be challenging. Our relationship had come to an end, and I would miss her. Cheryl returned around 2 a.m. Monday morning. She woke me gently by sitting beside me on the bed, stroking my hair. Sweetie, get dressed. I need help with my bags. I got dressed and helped her bring her suitcases into the house. She was wearing jeans and a sweatshirt and looked very tired. Where have you been? I asked. I was solving my problem. I found the money. It's in those bags. I haven't counted it yet, but there should be around $600,000. I know you have questions, but I haven't slept much in the last few nights. Can we talk after I get some rest? We stayed in bed a little longer than usual. When I woke up, she was facing me and smiled. She asked for coffee and breakfast, saying we could chat while we ate. Cheryl had coffee while I made eggs. So, I went to see Jimmy, she said. He told me he needs a lawyer, not a public defender, and those cost money. He also needs money for bail. He thinks I have Roger's half of the money, which now he believes is his. I told him that Roger took all of it and hid it. I said it died with him. After thinking for a moment, he said he didn't know Roger had the money, but he knows where it is hidden. He said he'd tell me, but I have to give him his half. I was surprised Jimmy didn't know that Roger had taken the money. We worked out a deal. I'll skip the details, but we agreed I would pay for the lawyer, but he must accept a plea deal. Whatever is offered, he must take. We cannot go to trial. If we do, I would testify against him and say I was on the phone with Roger the entire time, that I heard everything. It wouldn't just be his word against mine. I'd say he and Roger were planning to do serious harm to you and were threatening Abby. Jimmy knows that isn't true, but I made it clear. He also has to stick to the story that he and Roger confronted you because I told Roger I was leaving him for you. Jimmy said Roger hid the money in their childhood home where their mother still lives. There's a secret spot behind a fake wall that their father used to hide things. Roger and Jimmy found it when they were teenagers. You wouldn't notice it unless you knew what to look for. Jimmy explained how to find the hidden spot and how to open it. His mother has trouble walking and needs full-time help. Jimmy said he would call his mother and have the nurse let me in while he went upstairs with her. They would stay out of my way. In about an hour, he would call and let them know to expect me. I drove to Miami, waited until midnight, and got the money. It was in 4 large bags, and I thought I could fit them all into my 2 suitcases. Suitcases look more ordinary than bags. If someone sees me with those bags, they might realize they contain money, but I couldn't fit everything into 2 suitcases. I had to sleep in my car. I was worried about going to my apartment. I didn't want to bring the bags inside, and I wasn't sure if the loan shark had people watching me. The next morning, I called the loan shark. He wants the money and threatened me if I don't pay up. We finally settled on an amount that gave me some peace of mind. But just because he says he won't do anything drastic doesn't mean he won't. We argued about where to meet for the money and decided on a place where I'd feel safe. I gave him the money on Sunday night. I spent the days driving around and sleeping in my car again with the money in the trunk. Your $25,000 cost me $50,000, but now my life is stable. I'm not in danger and I have my money back. I'm content. Are you going to pay for Jimmy's lawyer? Will you stick to the deal? Of course. I promised Jimmy. I never break promises. I rolled my eyes and asked, he's going to tell the story? I don't have to worry about him making up something wild? He knows that if he wants me to pay for his lawyer, that's what he has to say. You know Roger intended to hurt you. You got lucky. That's me, Mr. Lucky. Lucky. I thought you left for good. Why didn't you let me know what was going on? I left my clothes here. I thought you would figure out I was coming back. I'm sorry. I should have left a note or called you. Honestly, I didn't want to mention the money because I was worried you would tell me to leave it in Miami. I didn't want to do that. I want it close. If Jimmy finds out about the cash in my apartment, I don't want him to find it there. We need to hide it. Any suggestions? I don't have a good place to put it. I don't want the money here, and I need a reason for why it's in my house. Get a storage unit today. I will help you move it to your car and the unit after I finish work tonight. Jimmy could easily tell someone the money is here. Jimmy doesn't know I'm with you now, but he'll eventually find out. Okay, I understand. I'll rent a storage unit today. Why did you come back? You have your money and don't need to hide here anymore. Why are you here? Cheryl thought for a moment and said, I've been working hard since I was 16. Maybe my whole life. I was forced to take a break because of you and Roger. I don't work well without a partner, and my partner is gone. I'm exhausted. This break has shown me just how tired I am. I told you I needed a rest, so I'm taking one. Why here? I like you and being around you. I've never had a real relationship with a man or anyone, really. It's always been business. I thought I would stay and see what happens with us if you want me to be here. As long as you don't do anything wrong, I'm glad you're here. Just stay away from my safe from now on. Cheryl smiled playfully and looked down at her plate. I had finished my breakfast, but she hadn't started. She came over and sat on my lap, then said with a grin, Ugh, why do you put onions in eggs? She pointed at her eggs to show I knew what she meant about breakfast. She continued, You saw my note in your safe. I just wanted you to know you can trust me. She gave me a sweet smile and added, You, Jimmy, and I are telling the same story, but we're unsure what Abby will say. What do you think she'll say? Abby was in the hotel room with me. She knows as much as I do. She could say something, but I don't think the police will charge her. They only care about what happened in the parking lot and why Roger and Jimmy were there. She really doesn't know about you and me. I told the police we kept our relationship a secret from her. She doesn't know anything about what happened in the parking lot, but I guess I should talk to her and let her know the plan. Let me handle that. I'll invite her over when you're at work. She'll be too curious about what I have to say no. Are you sure? She'll probably be upset if she knows you're here. It could cause trouble for both of us. I might as well tell her before the police do. I'll call her. I know what to say. I bet we'll become friends. I'm going to call Marky to see if they have talked to Abby yet. I also want my gun back. They took it. I called Marky at the police station. Lieutenant Marky, please. This is Mark Joyner. Marky came on the line. What's up, Mark? Hey, Lieutenant, just checking if I can pick up my gun. Yeah, I'll have it ready for you. It hasn't been fired recently, and the bullet that killed Addison came from his brother's gun. Anywhere else he might have survived. One less problem in the world. Thanks. I will stop by on my way to work. Has anyone talked to Abby about this yet? Not really. We spoke to her briefly. She's more of a side issue in this. She wasn't in the parking lot and didn't know about you and Cheryl. We will get her statement in the next few days. The district attorney is more worried about Cheryl. Will she come forward and testify at the trial, or will she disappear? Her account about what she heard on the phone supports what you told us. If she disappears, it will just be your word against Jimmy's. What will she do? I looked at Cheryl while she listened. Cheryl shrugged. I said, Cheryl met with Jimmy last Friday. He wanted to discuss arrangements for Roger. He also mentioned that he is thinking about a plea deal and getting a lawyer for that. I think the district attorney should look into making a deal. I don't know what Cheryl will decide, but I wouldn't want to go to trial if we depend on her testimony. I glanced at Cheryl, who smiled and gave me a thumbs up. I told Marky when I would get my belongings, and we ended the call. Cheryl stood up, washed her plate, and took my hand. I need to freshen up, she said. Later, while we relaxed together, Cheryl rested her head on my chest, her arm over me, gently playing with my hair. She asked, "Can I ask you a couple of questions about how you handled things with Roger and me?" I shrugged. "You learned about Roger and Abby after she called him to set up their meeting in Miami. I know Abby didn't tell you she was involved with him. How did you find out? Was it because she was leaving again so soon?" "I discovered them the Saturday they were at the resort. I met a husband of one of the women who was supposed to be with Abby." "Wait," Cheryl interrupted. "You knew about them, and Abby knew you knew when she called Roger?" I nodded. It's hard to believe she could be that careful. "Were you there when she spoke to Roger?" I nodded again. "Absolutely. I wanted Roger to turn her down, not because of anything Abby said, but because I thought it was too soon for her to be away again, and that you might suspect. Plus, she had the phone on speaker. You don't put your phone on speaker for private talks or planning outings. That's something you do when you're discussing things with family. Roger is very careful about where he goes. How did you manage to catch him without Abby getting in the way? He would have gotten suspicious if she hadn't opened the door and jumped into his arms. Abby was ready in the room to greet him. Was that your idea?" I nodded. "Smart thinking. You and Abby make a great team. You could do really well in my line of work." I asked her, "Can I ask you a few questions?" "Of course. I'll answer honestly. You can trust what I say." She smiled. "You mentioned a meeting before. I saw your background, and I know you come from a small town in West Virginia. And you thought I was just a pretty face?" "Let's say you have a nice presence." I replied, "By nice presence, you mean average? Do you think my presence is average?" She jumped up and looked in the mirror, examining herself. "Do you really think my presence is average? Come here, let me see." She came over and turned her back to me, looking at me over her shoulder. I said, studying her. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Just checking your question seriously. Do more checking and less judging. And keep it proper." I concluded, "I think you're perfect just the way you are." She smiled back. "Good. I agree with your thoughts about me. I've always wanted to feel good about my appearance. I wonder what person thinks they don't measure up." She continued, "And it's not as simple as it seems. I grew up in a place where wealth was very noticeable. My parents were great people. My mother was strict, and my father was very kind. I couldn't have asked for better parents, even if they were wealthy. I had 3 brothers, but one has passed away. I haven't spoken to the others in years because they don't like my choices. When I was 16 and just starting high school, I ran away with a man who was traveling and involved in dishonest activities. He seemed much older to me, but he was probably in his 40s. I was with him for about 10 months. He had a drinking issue that was getting worse, so I decided to leave him. Next, I got involved with a man who broke into houses. I had learned how to do this since middle school. I would take any money I found, but mostly I was curious about how wealthy people lived. The man I teamed up with, Jerry, was good at getting into homes quietly and without breaking anything. We took whatever we could carry. I had a buyer for our stolen items. We weren't getting rich, but we were making enough to get by. One day, Jerry decided to sell some watches without telling me. The police caught him, and he mentioned my name. I was arrested. It was my first and only arrest. There was nothing left in our apartment that was stolen, and I told them I knew nothing about what Jerry was doing. They had no proof against me, so they let me go. A couple of years later, I moved to Miami and met Roger. We have been together ever since. You don't sound like you're from West Virginia. You use words like tryst. You dropped out of high school when you were 16. Why don't you speak like someone from there? This is how I used to talk, she said, trying a West Virginia accent. Then she continued in her usual voice. And yes, I dropped out of school. Roger and I got involved in some shady things in Miami. Roger would confront people in their hotel rooms to get money. I met an older man at a bar who invited me to dinner. We talked, and he told me that to succeed in life, I needed to communicate well. No one would take me seriously if I couldn't express myself properly. He liked my accent, but said it was important how I presented myself. He was right. I wanted to connect with wealthy people, and to do that, I had to be taken seriously. I finished 10th grade, but school was never my main focus. I knew that well-educated people wouldn't respect me if I didn't sound polished. So I decided to change. I got my high school equivalency and then enrolled in college in Miami. My grades were excellent, and I graduated with special honors in philosophy. I learned to communicate properly, expanded my vocabulary, and worked on my accent. It was the hardest work I've ever done. Now I am someone who can be seen as a capable partner, well-read and articulate. Cheryl called Abby to invite her over to talk. I listened in on their conversation. Abby was skeptical and upset, but she agreed to come. I left for work before Abby arrived. Later, I got a call from Cheryl. Abby's on her way to you. She's not happy. Abby came into my office a little after 9:30 p.m. She looked really upset. I picked up the phone and called security, saying, "There's an issue in my office. A woman is here. Please send someone to help." Abby sat down, covered her face with her hands, and started to cry. I had never seen her so distressed. When the security personnel arrived, I asked them to wait outside. I closed the door and watched Abby in her moment of sadness. Finally, still crying, she said, "You're with her? How can you do this to me? You left me at the hotel in Miami for her? I made one mistake and you won't let me explain or try to make it right. If you would just listen, we could fix this." Abby looked at me, waiting for my reply. I said, "Abby, I don't have a good opinion of you right now. You've let me down. I don't want to hear excuses. They'll just make me think even less of you. You think if you explain yourself, I'll take you back. But your reasons only show me how self-centered you are. Honestly, if you admitted your choices were selfish and you just hoped I wouldn't find out, I would respect you more. That would be the truth. As for my time with Cheryl, that's not your concern anymore. Now I have work to do. You can leave on your own, or I can call security to help you." Abby stared at me, tears still in her eyes, but now she looked angry. She got up, opened the door, and left. After work, Cheryl and I loaded her bags into her car and drove to a storage facility. I asked her how her meeting with Abby went. "It turned out okay, I think. She's upset that I'm living with you. She doesn't understand how that happened. I told her we had dinner after our hotel meeting and got to know each other. She was furious that you spent time with me and upset that you left her at the hotel. She eventually called her father to make arrangements to get home. Now she's even more upset to find out that you left her to meet me for dinner, which she didn't know until I told her. She wanted to talk about Roger. She said she was sad to hear he was gone. She asked if it was just about money or if he ever cared for her. I told her he did have feelings for her." Cheryl looked at me. "That's true. Toward the end, Roger didn't want to see other women, but he was happy to meet Abby. He liked her. I didn't mind as long as it didn't stop him from getting money from her. I told her that Roger and I were having issues, but he always looked forward to seeing her. His mood improved when he talked about her. He agreed to meet her even though I warned him against it. I thought it was risky, but he wouldn't be dissuaded from seeing her. It started as a trick, but Roger developed feelings for her. Abby was happy to know that Roger liked her and that she wasn't just another target to him. I praised Abby for her phone call with Roger that led him into your trap in Miami. I told her I was listening and thought it was clever. She felt proud of that. She enjoys getting one over on people, but she also said she felt bad about what she did to Roger. She felt forced into it. She wanted to save her marriage and did what she thought you wanted. She was upset with Roger too, thinking there was something more, but you made her believe he was trying to trick her. She was grateful I told her that wasn't true. Abby and I talked about you. I told her that you and I just clicked and were exploring our connection. She knew what that was like with Roger. She wants me out of your house, but she understands my feelings. We are both following our hearts. She blames you for not listening to her. She can explain, but you've cut her off and moved on. I told her I believed that Roger was likely planning to do the same, leave me for Abby. I said there was no need to talk to the police about what happened in the hotel room. If they ask, just say the four of us discussed her relationship with Roger and that they agreed to end it. We were all there to see if there was anything left of our relationships to save. Unfortunately, there wasn't. The police wouldn't be too happy with what she and you did, so we shouldn't bring it up. It has nothing to do with their questions about Roger's passing. Roger came to confront me because of my choices. It was clear that my relationship with him was ending, but he reacted strongly when he found out I wanted to be with you. You didn't have to tell him that. It really hurt him. Cheryl smiled. Abby and I have connected. Roger's passing affected both of us deeply. We agreed that we're just two women whose feelings have led us to make things complicated. She cared for Roger, and I care for you. These things happen, and we can either stay angry or realize that we both just followed our hearts. We're similar in that way. Her anger should be pointed at you, not me. You won't give her another chance, and she's really upset about that. I wouldn't worry too much about her. She mentioned she's finding comfort from a co-worker. Just friends. He listens to her. You know how that can be. Abby and I are meeting for dinner on Thursday. I told her I can't do lunch since you're home during the day. Dinner works best while you're at work. I think Abby and I will get along just fine. I replied, so you sent her my way like a smart arrow. She didn't need much direction. She's upset with you. I can't change that. Does it worry you that we might spend time together? No, but I'm unsure which one of you will be a worse influence on the other. She stopped by my office after leaving you. She wasn't in a good place. I listened for a bit and then asked her to leave. Maybe now she can move on, Cheryl said. Maybe. She has her co-worker. He really listens to her. Early the next morning, I started getting calls from the press. The story about Cheryl and me was in the local paper. My name and where I worked were listed too. Poor Roger had come to confront me about his situation. They spun it like he was just trying to win back his wife but faced bad outcomes because of it. It felt like I was the one being blamed. They painted him as the victim of an unfaithful partner while I was the villain for getting close to someone else. The article was full of guesses, but they didn't know that Cheryl was living with me. But that wouldn't last long. I showed Cheryl the article and said, I've really gotten into trouble. Cheryl agreed and suggested I think about a different job next to her. That night, I went into work. I felt a lot of stares and not much warmth from my coworkers. I told security to keep the press away. I expected to hear from my boss, but nothing came. I carried on with my work as usual. Everything with Abby, Roger's death, and Cheryl moving in happened last August. Now it was early December, and a lot had changed. Abby and I got divorced. After I accepted some small changes in our agreement, Abby chose not to fight the divorce. I bought her share of the house and refinanced it. Jimmy was offered a deal and accepted it. He was sentenced in late September. He could get out on parole after 30 years. Cheryl and Abby became close friends. Abby reached out to Becca and Claire to make things right. She told them I made her call their husbands. Abby gossips to Cheryl about them. Claire and her husband Jay are back together, but she's not allowed out anymore. She was told to cut ties with Abby and Becca. Occasionally, Cheryl mentioned that Claire sneaks out to have lunch with Abby and Becca. She still spends afternoons with the man she met through work when he is in town, but she is always back home when Jay is around. No more nights out or weekends away. Bob, Becca's soon-to-be ex-husband, wants nothing to do with her or their children. They are in the middle of a difficult divorce. Becca has found a job selling clothes at a boutique, but Cheryl says she is having a hard time. Becca does meet her for lunch sometimes, but she is with her kids every evening. She cannot pay for a babysitter to go out. I reached out to Jay. We have never really been friends, just acquaintances through our wives' friendship. He sounded surprised but polite when he picked up. We exchanged greetings and he asked, "How can I help you?" I told him, "I think you should know that your wife is still having lunch with Becca and Abby. She is seeing the man she was with in Miami. He seems to visit here for work." He was quiet for a bit and then said, "Thanks for telling me." Then he hung up. Abby told Cheryl that Jay and his wife were divorcing, then that they were not, then that they were again. I would not want to be living there. With Becca and Claire unavailable to go out, Abby was pleased to have Cheryl as a friend. They went out to bars and clubs together. Cheryl told me, "I'm just her wing woman. Abby meets someone almost every time we go out. I just go home." I looked at Cheryl with doubt. She said, "You don't need to worry about me. I've always been a one-guy type of girl. I haven't been with anyone since I moved here, actually not since we were together in Miami. I'm happy as we are. I won't see other men while we're together. If I want to move on, I'll let you know. I'm here on weekends when you aren't working and home at night when you get back. I enjoy spending time with Abby, and I don't want to sit at home waiting for you. I know you might not believe me, but seeing other men is not something I want." We left the conversation there. I don't have any claim over Cheryl. If I find out she is not being honest, I will decide what to do then. My job was getting back to normal. I was expecting a raise at the end of the year and a nice bonus, so I waited to see what would happen. I hadn't been promoted yet, but no better jobs had opened up that I thought I would fit in. After Labor Day, Cheryl drove to her apartment in Miami to pick up some things. She called when she arrived. The apartment was a mess, furniture was damaged, and her things were all over the place. Cheryl noticed that nothing seemed to be missing but was upset about how it looked. She packed up her items, threw away what belonged to Roger, and called the landlord to tell him what had happened, hoping he had insurance. It was concerning that her place had been searched. Besides Cheryl and me, the only other person who knew about the money was Jimmy. Now he was aware that Cheryl was living with me. When Cheryl got back from Miami, I asked, "Why would Jimmy tell someone about the money? He is going to prison for a long time." Cheryl said, "I thought about that on my way back. I think he wants revenge. Whoever he told likely won't help him later. His lawyer is already paid, so he wants to get back at me for being with you and for saying I would testify against him. He must know that if I don't testify, it would only be your word against his. He might not be too happy with you either. I think he may have told friends they could keep the money if they agree to harm us, or at least take the money so we wouldn't have it. That seems to be the only reason I could think of. Revenge. We should get ready for a visit here, probably soon." We talked about what to do. During the day, we were both at home or running errands or going to the gym. Cheryl usually spends her nights at home when she is not out with Abby. I worried that if someone came looking for money, they might arrive just before I got off work, when Cheryl was by herself, or in the middle of the night while we were sleeping. I told Cheryl, "I will put a doorbell camera app on your phone. It will let you know if anyone comes to the front door. If you see someone who seems suspicious, just leave and stay safe until I get back home." "My dad taught me how to use a gun. Can you leave yours here with me? I would feel safer," she replied. "I'll carry my .45 and I will lock up the revolver. I'll keep the shotgun under your side of the bed, ready to use. If you need to hide, go into the bathroom. If someone tries to get in, use it to protect yourself if you have to. It's best to escape if you can. Don't try to face them alone." About 2 weeks later, I got a call just before my shift ended at midnight. It was Lieutenant Markey. "There was an incident at your home. I'm the supervisor on call and I'm heading to your house now." "What happened? Is Cheryl okay?" I asked, my heart racing. "All I know is that 2 people are down. We received a call about shots fired at your house. Officers are securing the area now. They have found 2 deceased, but they are still checking the house. I don't know about Cheryl yet. I will have more information when I arrive. I'll be there in 15 minutes." My coworker came in early, so I left my work in her hands and drove home. My street was blocked off, but I parked nearby and told the officers my name. I asked them to find Lieutenant Markey. One of the officers went inside and returned a moment later. "The lieutenant will be out to see you soon." I asked the officers, "Can you tell me what happened?" "No. Just wait for the yati." Markey came out about 20 minutes later. "It was a home invasion. 2 people tried to break in. Cheryl defended herself and is safe. She shot them as they came up the stairs. It looks like they entered through a window. Cheryl chose a good spot to surprise them. We found 2 shotgun shells. She managed the situation very well. I need to speak with her now. You will need to come in tomorrow morning for an interview since it's your home. This is a crime scene, so you will need somewhere else to stay for a few days. Cheryl will be free in a couple of hours. If you tell me where you will stay, I can let her know. I'll follow you to the station." "That's not a good idea. The press will be there, and if they see you, it could draw attention. I will do my best to keep you out of it. Where will you be staying? I can tell her." "I'll be at the hotel. Please ask her to call me when she's ready. Can I get some clothes from the house?" "No. We are waiting for forensics. No one can go in except them." He drove off, and I returned to the hotel. Cheryl came into my hotel room around 4 a.m. I had fallen asleep waiting for her call, but her arrival woke me up. "Why didn't you call me to pick you up? It was faster for me to get a ride share than wait for you. What happened? How did you get into my room? You really think I can't get a hotel room key? It was easier than I thought. The young lady at the front desk and I are related. We have the same last name, Michaels. I told her she might be too young to remember me, but she does. She remembers I was always nice to her. The tricky part was explaining why I was here at 4 a.m. trying to get a key to your room. I had to convince her that I was either your wife, a girlfriend visiting unexpectedly, or someone here for a short time. Everyone who works at this hotel knows about what happened between you and your wife, so I can't be your wife. I'm just in jeans and a sweatshirt with no makeup, so saying I'm here for other reasons is hard to believe. Besides, I don't want my cousin to think badly of me or that you would invite someone untrustworthy. I interrupted. Who talks like that anymore? Cheryl playfully nudged me and continued. It's just a surprise visit. But that's also a problem. A nice lady like me shouldn't be making unexpected visits. I told her we were going shopping for an engagement ring. I want to remind you why you want to get that ring. I even winked and said I was here early just in case you tried to back out today. Anyway, she wanted to be part of this happy moment, so she gave me a key to your room. We Michaels always support each other. Promise me you won't let her go. I won't, but I'm going to talk to her. Can you wait until we go home? She was so excited that you and I are getting engaged. She might tell the whole family before we even get up. I interrupted. So your real name is Michaels? No, it's Sweeney. Why? Not wanting to hear more, I asked, what happened tonight? I was asleep. I woke up when they opened the window downstairs around 11:30 p.m. They were quiet, but I heard footsteps. I got your shotgun and waited until they were on the stairs before I stepped out of the bedroom and scared them away. Just two loud sounds. What did the police say? You know how it goes with police. They assume you're guilty until they find someone else to blame. They took my statement and let me go. Marky walked me out and waited until my ride came. He said there wouldn't be any problems and I wouldn't be charged with anything. The two guys I scared off were from Miami and had been in trouble before. The Miami police think there may be a connection with Jimmy. Marky said, 2 fewer troublemakers in the world. I thought you would run if someone was breaking in. They probably would have heard me leave and thought I'd call the police. They'd be gone by then, but may come back another time. I figured they wouldn't leave on their own, so why not make them go? 2 fewer troublemakers in the world. The press was there. Marky said your PR person was there too. Is this going to be a problem for you? The PR person will tell my manager that the woman I live with scared off 2 men in my house. He won't be happy about that. Even less happy if it gets connected to me. But there's nothing I can do. I'm just glad you're okay. From now on, I'll announce myself when I come home after work. You're a bit of a wild card. You bet I am, but I won't hurt you. I don't know much about guns. They intimidate me. Cheryl laid her head on my chest as she began to drift off. I asked, when was the first time you fired a shotgun? Sleepily, she replied, I think I was 5 or 6. I fired my dad's shotgun and it knocked me over. I thought I had hurt myself because one of my brothers helped me hold it. My father and brothers just laughed. When I got older, I went hunting with my dad and brothers. I always took the shotgun. Yours is much nicer than the one I used. I'm glad you're okay. Go to sleep. As I fell asleep, I wondered what my boss and the company would think about Cheryl's actions. They wouldn't like it. When I came downstairs from our room to start my shift, I found my boss waiting for me. He didn't look pleased. He said, I need to talk to you. We went into his office. I explained, there was a break-in at my home. 2 men came in looking for trouble. Cheryl scared them away. The police spoke with her and said she's fine. That's all there is to it. Management is worried. They spoke with the public relations team who are handling the police again. People are being targeted around you. They don't believe it's just bad luck. The PR team mentioned the woman you're living with. She's the one whose husband had problems with you. She seems to have a complicated past. Is she behind this? Getting upset with my boss wouldn't help. I replied calmly, her husband wasn't here to talk to me. He came with bad intentions. His brother confessed to his actions and told the police he might have sent the 2 men. I don't know who they were or what they wanted. All I know is they were threatening. Cheryl does have a past, but the police cleared her when they saw there was nothing against her. Neither of us have done anything wrong. I said, thanks, and went back to work. The next day, the news reported that the incident happened at my home and named me as an assistant manager at the H. The report said the people involved had ties to a past case with Cheryl, who was staying with me. The article suggested that the fight might be linked to an earlier disagreement. This made things more difficult, but my boss wasn't there when I came for my shift. I took this as a sign that for now there was nothing more to discuss. A few weeks later, on a Friday night around 10 p.m. in October, I got a text from Cheryl. I'm at your bar. Come say hello if you have a moment. After finishing some paperwork, I went to the restaurant bar by the lobby. Cheryl and Abby were there, each talking to someone new. Cheryl was with a man on her left, and Abby was chatting with another man on her right. I walked over and said hello. Cheryl stood up with a bright smile. "Will you get in trouble if I give you a hug?" she asked, looking playfully around. I put an arm around her shoulders and she hugged me back. "Let me introduce you to Robert," she said, pointing to the man next to her. "He and Eddie, Abby's friend over there, were nice enough to take us out for dinner and drinks. This is Mark. He works here." Abby smiled politely. "And he's also my ex-husband." Cheryl turned to me again. "I was about to leave, but I wondered if you want me to wait for you to finish your shift so we can go home together." "Let's talk," I said. We stepped just outside the restaurant to a quieter area. "What's going on?" I asked. "You mean Robert? He offered to buy dinner and drinks. I didn't ask him to. I didn't encourage him either. But I let him be nice. I know I said I wouldn't get involved in anything risky while we were together unless we agreed on it together. I hope you'll forgive this small slip. He enjoyed my company and I got a meal and good chat. That's all it was." She smiled slightly. As for Abby, she has a different attitude towards nights like this. I didn't say anything. She continued. "If you'd rather I wait for you to finish your shift, I can just sit quietly in your office. I don't mind." "You're welcome to come to my office," I said. "But no more dinner outings here. Not at this hotel." "Understood. I'll let Abby know this place is off limits." We went back to the bar to tell Abby Cheryl was coming with me. Robert had already left. Abby waved casually and turned back to her conversation with Eddie. Later, back at work, Cheryl waited in my office. Nothing big happened, just some quiet time together. She spent a lot of time next to me, talking a bit, but mostly just resting. After that night, Abby and Cheryl kept going out once or twice a week while I worked. Cheryl was always home by the time I returned. We enjoyed our weekends together and spent many weekdays together, too. This went on until mid-November. One Friday morning, Cheryl left a note saying she had to go to Miami for a day or two for some errands. I didn't see her before I left for work. By Saturday morning, when I got home, she was back. As I got into bed, she stirred and said softly, "I told you I'd let you know when it was time. It's time. I have to get back to my life. I stayed longer than planned. I found a place in Miami. I'll be packing up this weekend." I wanted her to stay, but she said I couldn't be her partner, and I didn't want her to stop working if she lived with me. "Do you have a new partner?" I asked. "Abby. We're going to live together in Miami. I thought about moving further up the coast, but I have a good setup in Miami." She smiled with excitement. "I stopped by a resort there last night to visit some friends. They'll help us get started." Abby is really looking forward to it. She thinks it will be like a fun getaway. It's not like she's leaving a career she can't go back to. If things go wrong in Miami, her father will always have a job for her. She continued. "The key for Abby is to not give too much away and avoid being taken for granted. But she is good at facing challenges and listens to my guidance. I think Abby is ready. We've talked a lot and she's already begun making connections. She's close to an older gentleman who wants to help with her mother's medical costs. He lives in Miami, so she can see him more often. Just so you know, I haven't been working with her directly. I've just been watching. We have shared plans, and I've offered advice, but haven't done any tasks for her or taken any of the money she's received. I've kept my promise to you and haven't worked since I started living with you." She suits me better. Both you and I are planners, but Abby likes to take action. She enjoys the excitement. I won't have direct contact with clients, she will handle that. I'll support her with planning and research. You're always welcome to help out if you want. There's always a place for you. This was a tough choice for me. I enjoy being with you and have opened up in a way I've never done before. You've been my only true loving relationship. Thank you for having me in your life. But I need to work. It's part of who I am. If I can't do that here with you, I must move on. Cheryl packed her things, and she and Abby drove to Miami on Sunday. I helped her with her bags, but didn't ask her about her plans for the money. After her car was loaded, she hugged me, feeling emotional. "What's happening to me? I never cry," she said with a soft laugh. "I really don't want to leave, but I need to get back to my life before I lose myself here." She waved goodbye and walked to her car. I was sad to see her go, I would miss her, but I knew she would leave eventually. After she drove away, I wondered if she took the $25K with her. I expected she would, as she always thought of it as her money. When I opened the safe, the $25K was still inside. Attached to the bag was a long note. "No, I didn't take your money. It's yours. You outsmarted us fairly. Or maybe I've softened up a bit. I'm really going to miss you. If it's all right, I might come to visit sometimes. I'm keeping my phone number, the one you have, so you can reach me. If you ever come to Miami, you should call me. I told you that you are the only one I've ever let in. I've shared things with you that I've never shared with anyone else. Most of what I told you about my life is true. Some isn't. I might not matter to you now, but I want to fix some things I mentioned. I did grow up in West Virginia, but my parents were not the caring people I described. My family has always been involved in activities that were not right. My childhood was difficult, and I learned early that if I wanted something, I had to find a way to get it. I thought that was normal, that all relationships, even with family, were based on business. I believed everything was a negotiation to get the best outcome. To succeed, you had to be smart and outthink others. I believed emotions were a weakness that people would take advantage of. No one cared for me beyond what I could do for them. I felt the same way. That's what I learned growing up. And that's how I thought until I met you. You were someone I didn't want to trick or take from. I just wanted to be close to you. It was a whole new feeling for me. Thank you for letting me in. I did get my high school equivalency and graduated from college with special honors in philosophy. I'm very proud of that. To be successful, I had to become a different person than the one who left school. It's true that I haven't worked directly with any clients in over 3 years. Roger has handled all that. But if you don't believe any of it, know that I was never unfaithful to you. You mean more to me than anyone else ever has. Now you have the truth, the whole truth, although I know you might not believe me. I genuinely will miss you. I feel a connection with you that's unique. It's hard to explain, but it's there. I don't want to lose you completely. Maybe we can still be friends, and more, if it's safe for you to be around someone like me. Please don't shut me out. Cheryl. I read this and wondered how much of what Cheryl said about herself was true. I wasn't even sure the story about the loan shark or that Roger took her money was real. I had so many doubts that I wondered if Cheryl knew what was true anymore. The Friday after Thanksgiving, which I had to work since we never close, my boss was waiting for me when I got there. He wanted to speak in his office. He began, "I think it's time for you to move on. The company believes this hotel is too associated with you and the troubles you've had. Every time the local press mentions our hotel, they bring up that incident in the parking lot and note that you're an assistant manager here. I agree with them. No one is blaming you. It's just how things are. We want to issue a press release saying you no longer work here. We think this will help reduce any bad publicity." "You want me to resign?" "No, not at all. I didn't say that clearly. You'll receive a nice bonus this year. I've informed the company of how well you perform your job. I spoke with Marky. He thinks you're honest. He believes you about what happened in the parking lot. You didn't do anything wrong. He says that, from what he understands, your marriage and Cheryl's marriage were already over before you two met. Yes, you got involved with someone who was married, but according to Marky, Cheryl is no longer living with you. It seems she has left town recently. Marky doesn't know if her departure is temporary or permanent." He paused, waiting for me to confirm that Cheryl had gone. I stayed quiet, so he continued, "The authorities have been watching Cheryl. She has been seen with your ex-wife. They visit different places together. Your ex-wife talks to people they meet, but Cheryl goes back to your house. As far as they know, Cheryl has not done anything wrong. Marky also thinks Cheryl told the truth about what happened in the parking lot and at your house. He believes the two individuals Cheryl encountered were there for revenge related to her husband. I shared all of that with corporate. If the authorities believe you, corporate won't question them. Your job is secure. It's a problem for public relations, but it's serious. I could have explained things better. What I should have said is that corporate is suggesting you transfer to another hotel of ours. This is to create some distance between you and this hotel. I would hate to see you go, but I think it's a good idea. They offer a change of scenery, not a demotion or a promotion. Your salary will stay the same, along with the raise you'll get at the end of the year. Corporate will cover your moving expenses, and you can stay at your new hotel for free until you find a suitable place. They're being generous because they want to keep you, but they also want you to move on. I thought, they don't really care about me, they just want to avoid any problems. It's your choice, of course. You can stay here if that's what you want. No one can make you leave. I've been pleased with your work, and I've let corporate know that. They want to keep good employees like you, just not here. It's best for everyone if you take a new position. What are your thoughts? Should I start looking for assistant manager jobs, or has corporate already picked a place for me? No, you don't need to worry about that. I told corporate you wanted to stay in Florida, so they found a position for you at our largest hotel that can accommodate another assistant manager. It's in a big city, so there are many things happening there every day, and what happened to you likely won't draw much attention. You'll start on January 1st. It's a bit of a step up, because where you're going is very important to the company. You'll need to keep everything in order. You're going to be the new assistant manager at our main 5-star resort on Miami Beach.